Folks, welcome to an all new So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey, Vanderpump Rules Finale Edition. Come one, come all. Grab the children, grab the family around the fireplace. Listen to whatever is about to come out of my mouth. If you are listening to this on the podcast form, thank you. If you are watching this on the YouTube, thank you. This is so exciting. Now, we are, of course, going to talk about the finale, right? And this is going to be broken up into two parts again, where the first part's going to be the recap. We're going to go line by line. This is a line by line recap. I know it's very crazy. This is scientifically impossible. This is just so dangerous what we're doing here. And then the part two is going to go cover all of the Vanderpump news stories. I'll talk about my experience at Raising Cane's Chicken with Ariana Madix yesterday. I'll talk about the Ariana Call Her Daddy interview. I'll talk about a lot of the Vanderpump Rules cast members podcast. We'll reveal some stories, some secrets. We might even have a surprise guest popping along. It is just excitement. This is the place to be for these next 8 hours. Oh my God. Last week, you guys, the finale, I did the finale, not the this is, by the way, this is the reunion, not the finale. My God, I already screwed up. I'm not going back. We're doing the reunion part one, but last week, the finale, it was like a 3.5 hour part one. And I still have things that I want to say about it. We're not going to say that here, but it is just, to me, this is so fascinating and it's so rich and ripe for discussion and to kind of go behind the scenes and to speculate. Now, I want to give everybody, warnings up top. There is adult language. We're going to talk about adult situations. We're going to talk about PPs going into the Vs. I don't know. Maybe it'll come up. Who knows? But I just want to say this is an adult show. I also want to say, and I say this with peace and love. I know if you're listening to this on the podcast, you probably know what you're here for. But some of the people on YouTube are just discovering me for the first time. And I once again, saying this with peace and love. I do voices. You might find those voices annoying. You might like them, whatever. But if you find them annoying and this isn't your thing, I totally get it. Just move on. There's so many great podcasters, so many great YouTubers out there, so much good stuff, and find the thing that works right for you. This works right for me personally, and that's it. But I just wanted to warn you up top, there will be imitations. These aren't, they're not note perfect imitations. Obviously, this is what I find to be humorous, and it is sophomoric, and I wear that with a badge of honor. Of course, we're going to try to go deeper. We're going to try to think about the psychology, what possibly could be behind all of this darkness. We might make some greater points about life in general. I doubt it, but we might. You never know. So just enjoy. I hope you have a beverage. This is Friday. If you're listening to it, you made it through another week. And that's something to celebrate right there, right? We made it through another week, period. I mean, anything's gravy past that, right? So we can all sit here, enjoy ourselves. I felt such a darkness last week covering that finale. And I don't think I feel that same darkness this week because the reunion, there's so many moments that you can just make fun of. My God. I mean, dissecting lies and hearing some of these things that are coached or some of the things that come out of Sandoval's mouth is truly a gift. It's truly a gift if you're talking about this because it's so silly, some of these things. And you realize that this man did this thing, this Sandoval, as they call it, and he almost tried to reverse engineer his cheating. He was like, "Oh, dude, I cheated. Now I've got to find a way to like kind of explain it to the audiences. I've got to, you could tell that he cheated, didn't really have a full-on plan for the cheating, and then made the relationship happen, and then goes, oh shit, dude, I gotta figure out a way to sell this to people." And so he was like working backwards, it seems, and trying to cover these bases, and they never officially got covered. This man found it hard to open Schwartz and Sandy, so he was going to have a hard time with this affair of the heart, which I was also talking about today. I kept thinking about, we've not really seen, he keeps saying like, dude, this made me feel something. The mojo, dude, it got my mojo back. And I think that's truly incredible to get your mojo back, even though I don't even know if I've ever had a mojo or what a mojo, if you can get buy the mojo, who knows? But we've never seen Raquel and Tom like the magic of Rocky. What are we calling Raquel and Tom? Tom Rack? Tom Kelrack. You know, we've never seen the magic that he speaks of. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of scenes with them except for Tom being like, dude, you're so awesome, Raquel. Oh my God, you're so awesome. Like at glamping. We've never seen what he potentially feels, even though I think if we look deeper, that is Tom, you know, that it's not as deep as Tom makes it appear to be in these final episodes. In fact, you know, from all intents and purposes, he's in Austin hooking up with what are they calling her? Like a Texas social media influencer. And I was like, wow, they do it differently in Texas because she barely has any followers. No offense if you're listening. I'm sure you're nice. I don't know. But somebody sent me a video last night of him back in Austin checking into a hotel with this girl. So I was like, wow, he went back to Texas. Like he went away, you know, did a wedding with Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras last weekend, which I still am so curious about that wedding. If you were at that wedding, please reach so bad it's good with Ryan Bailey at gmail.com, because my God, the darkness, you have like talking about like marrying somebody, like a union that you want to last a lifetime. And you're like, for entertainment, we have Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. You know, Tom's like, this goes out for all the bride and groom, you know, may you never cheat on each other. Anyways, here's Schwartz's mom has got it going on. The darkness to have Tom Sandoval play at your wedding, which is the ultimate sign of a commitment. I just wonder how deeply the bride and groom thought about that. Anyways, it appears that Tom, I don't know if he's still together with Raquel. I don't think so, and we'll talk about that because we'll talk about some mail that's been arriving at his place. But I will say, it seems like he's enjoying, you know, double dipping on the road potentially with other women, or this woman in particular. It's dark. It's all dark, folks. Also, before we get in, you know, listen, like I always say, this is primarily comedy. And you, like I said, you might not agree with that. But also, just in terms of the thing that I keep going back and forth on, just right up top, is how we feel about Raquel, right? She's the big question mark. She's the one that I can't really get a beat on. I don't know if I can't get a beat on her at all. I just don't know what is going on behind there. And they had a Raquel fan cam set up at this reunion, which is just, by the way, can we take the Raquel fan cam and just put it in different live sporting events? I just now want to put it like during the Super Bowl of cutting to Raquel. You know, she's crisscross applesauce, just like, you would have thought she was me watching Vanderpump Rules. You would have thought she was watching just a movie, you know, just The Parent Trap or something. She's like, I didn't even, like, half the time she's like, oh no, don't go in that room. It was really, really weird, but it was brilliant. Hats off to the production company. Hats off to Evolution Media. You guys knocked this first part of the reunion and this season out of the park. And we'll talk about why I think that a little bit more later. But in terms of Raquel, it's like, you know, everybody's like, okay, well, if she did check herself in a mental health facility, which I hope she did, I hope she's understanding herself, because I don't understand her. I don't think anybody truly understands that girl. But you're like, oh, go easy on her, go easy on her. And I'm like, I do think about the going easy on her part, right? Because, you know, you could say that she, Tom was the aggressor. Obviously, there was a power differential. But then from all intents and purposes, everything that we're hearing is that Raquel was very in on the hiding of the secret from Ariana, even gave Tom little like tips, to-dos and things like that. So also, would you tell Ariana that to take it easy on Raquel? Would you be, come on, Ariana? I know she did all this stuff, but she potentially has issues. And it's like, yeah, of course she has issues, but is Ariana allowed to be completely livid? And as an audience, are we allowed to be livid? I don't know if I know the right answer to that question, but I do sometimes feel like her and Sandoval are playing this, and they've just been wrong at every turn. And I feel like Raquel, even though she does not show it, is obviously a lot smarter than any of us give her credit for. But I do think there is a crucial component missing, is that it's just that feeling component I keep talking about. That thing where, you hurt somebody and it's hard to like show your face. He was Sandoval. He's able to act that out a little bit. Not good. Not he's poorly acted out, but he still knows what he he wants to be perceived as a broken man, right? But Raquel doesn't seem to have that at all. Raquel's just kind of like, da, 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 da. And that's the part that scares me a lot more than Tom. But it is interesting. I keep going back and forth on those, the differences between men and women. Is that once again, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm putting more focus on Raquel when Tom is the main baddie, right? He's the big baddie. On that show, Dexter, they used to call it the big bad, whoever the villain of the season was going to be, which was funny because Dexter on Showtime with Michael C. Hall, he was a serial killer, but he would always have what they would call the big bad, or production would call it the big bad. So it was like Jimmy Smith's one season. It was like the ice cream killer, John Lithgow, another season. Call him the big bad. So Sandoval's the big bad, but then I end up just trying to focus sometimes on what Raquel is thinking. And I'm wondering, I don't know. I feel like we can share the anger between both of them. Then, of course, Schwartz, you put him in the mix, and it's like, whoa. I mean, it's all different levels of humanity, but at no point, and I think it's just weird. They all seem like Sandoval, especially, doesn't seem like this is slowing him down at all. I was sent a video. I mean, this was horrific. I was sent a video on TikTok of some girl this week. Sandoval was out karaokeing in Texas. And he had like a full Cuba look on. He had like this really like Cuban like fedora hat kind of thing. He's completely in a different era. I always wanted to talk about that too. Tom Sandoval. I was thinking about this. Taylor Swift, the Eras tour, which by the way, like I said, if any of you guys are mad at Taylor Swift and want to give me her ticket to their LA show, if you don't want to see her anymore, I'll take that ticket. Just need one. But it's the Eras tour of all of the different eras of Taylor Swift. And I was thinking about all of the different eras of Tom Sandoval in terms of just his clothing and his hair. And I think we've entered a new era of Sandoval because he has shaved the mustache. He does not look like a 70s porn star as much. And now it's a cleaner. He was wearing like these like kind of white tailored, I mean, a little loose tailored pants. He always has like I love that his life is falling apart and he's still like, dude, I got to dress like super cool when they got karaoke. And he was out there karaokeing the Journey song. Like, he's in a karaoke band already. He's in a cover band, Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. But even on his off weeks, he's out there at a karaoke place singing the songs he sings with his karaoke band. Like the Truman Show. I mean, it's all so dark to think about. I was like, this guy really loves karaoke. You would think also during this time, the thing that fascinates me is like, lay low, bro. Lay low, right? You gotta lay low. It's fine. Let the heat pass. It's like, dude, I got a thing, dude. I got a karaoke, dude. And I love he's out there going like, someday love will find you. He's out there singing, like just trying to hit those high notes. And I'm like, this guy is just out there, man. It is really, psychologically, I'm like, what is that of just like, nobody can stop me from singing. Like, and I wonder if that girl, whatever that girl's name in Austin that he's hanging out with, his quote unquote friend, which that, his PR person press release that it was just a friend. Yeah, but you just said Raquel was just a friend too. How would he trust anything that you ever say? So let's just, for, shits and giggles, assume that he's totally banging her. What, do you think that girl's like, Tom, could we not go karaoke tonight? I really, it's fun for the most part, but I don't like the random people that come up and just say you're an asshole. That would be can we just chill? Let's just, there's so many good shows on Netflix and we just Netflix and chill maybe. Like, no, dude, we got to go out. We're the best place to karaoke in Texas. So many thoughts are going through my head, you guys. It's just, some of this stuff is so confusing. Now, of course, this reunion, a 3-part reunion, they supersized it. They added like 10 minutes on Peacock. Peacock, of course, is the streaming service that NBC Universal runs, Bravo being a company in NBC Universal. They have been trying to get people to switch over for so long. Not switch over, but add to another streaming service. And I personally, all joking aside, I pay for Peacock. I love Peacock. I think it's a great service. It's one of my favorite streaming services. I'm not kidding. Maybe it's my favorite one now that HBO Max went to Max. Way to go. This show now is just called Bad. It's not so bad anymore. It's bad. We're changing it to just bad. But Peacock is doing supersized reunion episodes. So they aired it on Bravo Wednesday night, right? And then on Thursday morning, it hit like 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I believe. No, sorry. It aired 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I didn't stay up for that, but they add all this, like they add 10 more minutes of footage, which we're doing the supersized recap today, not just the regular Bravo recap, the supersized recap. So if you saw last night on Bravo, not Peacock, don't worry, you don't need to get Peacock. I'm going to totally act out all of those scenes. I'll let you know when those hit, but it's interspersed throughout the entire episode. But the other amazing thing that they do, and I didn't know how much I needed this until I heard the first time it was used, and I was like, whoa, boing, is that we get to hear the cursing. There's no beep beep. It's like, by the way, if the kids are here, just tell them to ear muff it right now. They're like, fuck you, you piece of shit, fucking fuck. By the way, I have a theory now when James like, poo head, both of you, poo heads. That, of course, wasn't in this episode. It'll probably be next week or the week after. But poo-poo heads is very funny because I'm like, why did he use that when DJ James Kennedy is cussing up a storm the entire first part of the reunion? He's like, Tom Sandoval, you pussy. I regret ever doing guys' night with you, you pussy. You 40-year-old pussy. I'll kick your fucking ass, pussy. Can we get thrown off? Am I allowed to curse this much? It's liberating, you guys. It really is. But we hear every dirty curse word. And my theory is that he says poo-poo head because I have a feeling at some point Andy or the producers are like, James, you're done with the cursing. You cannot curse. Remember back in Watch What Happens Live, one of the first times Lala and DJ James Kennedy were on Watch What Happens Live. It was when they were still drinking and they were hammered on Watch What Happens Live, and they both let curse words slip, and Andy was pissed. And Andy banned them for a while from Watch What Happens Live, and now they're able to finally go on again. But if you remember that, it was hysterical. But I have a feeling James was like talked to at some point, and that's why he's thinking, like, that's why by the time we get to poo-poo head, he's like, I can't say curse words, but what I can say is poo-poo. You are poo-poo heads. I can't wait to see potentially what other curse words he makes clean in efforts to still slam and hate on these people. Now, remember, besides some of the women on this show, all of the men on this show are suspect. As Ariana says at the beginning of this reunion to Andy, that all men are trash. And he said, Andy even said, I got a cosign, and I got a cosign too. There is something weird about us men. And I know I'm not, by the way, what if Ryan Bailey says, quote, there's something weird about men. Find out all. Is that there is. It seems like women, time and time again, and especially you see this on reality television, there's perfect examples all the time, is that women do the things that are very hard that men can't. And I don't mean building skyscrapers and cars and all that shit, even though they can do that too, but they're able to have hard conversations. They're able to actually sometimes look challenges directly in the eye. Don't worry, I'm not saying all women, I get it, blah, blah, blah. Women suck too. But you can't, even if using this show as an example, Katie did a very hard thing in saying that she needed to split from Schwartz because of, she made a very hard thing. But now if you looked at Sandoval was not able to do that hard thing. So he just decided to have a very long affair on Ariana because he was like, it was like climbing Everest, dude. I couldn't do it. It was like insane. This dude would rather open a bar, cheat on that, all of those hard things when he couldn't actually have that hard conversation with Ariana. Schwartz the same way. Schwartz got so bad in certain ways and just being a husband and a boyfriend that it's almost like he forced Katie's hand. These women sometimes seem to be able to do things at such a different level and have those hard conversations that men can't do, that we find it so hard to do, myself included. I've been there. Those conversations are really hard, but then you see just the destruction, how much worse it makes everything. So in that moment, even Katie was talking about Satchel, but by the way, poor Satchel gets brought up in the extended cut, I think. I don't know if it was on the regular. Oh, Satchel, my socks with sandals king. Remember when he wore socks to the Hermosa Beach party? Socks with sandals? Love that guy. He's landed on his feet, by the way. Katie says he has a girlfriend now, so that's good. But she said, yeah, I didn't see it going much further with me and Satchel, so I had to let him know. And it's like, imagine that. A guy wouldn't let you know potentially. A guy would potentially string you along and date a bunch of other people at the same time. So that's very interesting. I thought that was something. While I was watching the show, I kept thinking about these moments where I'm like, wow, look at Ariana now. Like Ariana coming out of this seems to be so good, doing so well in terms of just not only not only where she's headed in terms of financial opportunities, but how she is able to process these things and communicate effectively. I mean, it's such a hard thing to do, and something we see that Tom and Raquel cannot communicate effectively. They can't seem to string a sentence together if it saved their lives. And I do wonder going into this reunion and during the reunion if Tom is, felt that of like, dude, fuck, man, dude, Ariana used to be here to like help me complete my sentence, and I'm like, I'm out there on like a tightrope, man. Like there he's not an effective communicator. You might think he's passionate. You might think I don't know at this point what you think he is, but communication he communicates through song, you guys. But it is interesting that Ariana can put all of these things into a sentence and kind of clear up. But it is interesting because Tom is trying to steer a certain narrative, and you see him workshopping a lot of the things that he eventually went on Howie Mandel, which wasn't the Howie Mandel show like the week after or something. You see him workshopping some of the things that he was able to like bring dust off and go back to Howie and try to add things in and improve. And it's weird because Ariana's pretty much able to shoot a lot of those down entirely. And that's why what I had predicted about the reunion, I think to be true still after seeing the first part, is what we're seeing is Tom's version again, which is based on lies. So even the truth that he's telling us isn't really the truth. And at this point, it's just come to the light, brother. Come to the light. Schwartz, you as well, man. I know you are even like, like you're taking a stand in some of these moments, but like come all the way out into the light, man. It's not going to hurt. You will be celebrated for it. Truly. Okay. Also, I want to thank Juliana Carosa, who took these notes once again for the finale. She has helped me all season long, and I couldn't do this without her. There's like 70 pages of notes here. Once I add my stuff in, and it's just really, it's quite a production. Hopefully, we're going to take this to Broadway at some point. We'll pick our favorite Vanderpump Rules episode, and then it's Ryan Bailey in a one-man show. Vanderpump Rules. This is season 10, episode 16, air date May 24th, 2023. And I want to just let the cat out of the bag about this immediately in terms of how successful this is, because it blew me away when the overnight ratings came in. I don't think this is going to be any surprise to you, but I thought it was just so. The ratings for the finale, you guys, last night, it was a 2.036 million in viewers, with a 0.92 in the 18 to 49 key demo. 18 to 49, of course, being the age range, which is like the prime age for advertisers to age to, which, by the way, fuck that. Let's get it to 18 to 80. Like I want to include everybody in the key demo, but the key demo for this is 18 to 49. So this is a season high now. This beat the finale last week. I mean, it keeps going up. Now, of course, there was not Watch What Happens Live last night. Boo, Andy. Which, by the way, did you see Andy and John Arthur Hill, his buddy? They were out to dinner, and then they surprised a Vanderpump Rules viewing party in some apartment. I was like, that is like the dream. My God. I hope to be able to talk to Andrew Cohen one day. I think he sees my stuff sometimes on Instagram, and he's like, oh, this guy. But he would be a dream person to talk to. And my other goal is to be a bartender on Watch What Happens Live. Just, you see me back there just making drinks while Andy's talking to Oprah or somebody. Hopefully it would be a really good night. So these ratings are insane. Now, what happens? That's just like the day of. Now, then once they put into then they do another ratings where it's like 7-day or like the 7-day ratings. So last week it added like another 2 million to the overall viewers. I think they're going to get close to 5 million and up once they get that 7-day rating in. And these are just unheard of numbers. I mean, NBC Universal has to be literally shitting their pants full of gold bricks. I mean, it's just unheard of for these kind of numbers. And I'm just, hats off. They've managed to really capitalize this so far it's not been annoying. I feel like they've done the right amount. I think a lot of us have been like, give us more. And they were like, but they've given us a lot and they are being rewarded for it. And just to compare it to another, I made a post about this a second ago, was that the Kardashians season 3 premiered on Hulu on Wednesday night as well. And I forgot about it. I mean, I knew it was coming up, and then I just kind of even spaced about it. I just forgot about it completely. It premiered last night, and I was like, wow, Vanderpump Rules is so powerful this season that I forgot completely about the Kardashians. But it's kind of the Kardashians' fault in a lot of ways because, and I hope Vanderpump Rules this season in particular is teaching a lot of the other reality shows out there. Is like, look, if you actually use the reality of their real lives, if you hop on these moments, if you even pick up cameras when something bad happens, don't wait to come back. Don't wait for summer break to be over. Do it right now. If something happens on Summer House with any of those couples, you better pick up a camera, even if it's like fall or winter. It's like, we're Summer House. No, bro, you're Year House. I want it all year round. Like, I need that. And they've been rewarded for that. So what I would hope is that the producers of the Kardashians, and maybe Chris, hi, if you're watching, is that look at this. Because you think about the Kardashians, they've had more trauma and more scandals in their lives than anybody else. No matter what you want to say about them, they have. The bad part of it is they only share little crumbs of the reality on their shows. So you're watching Chris like dance around with a mime half the time. You're like, wait a sec, you've got like all this shit really going on. I'm seeing you cuffed to a mime. Give me a break. Why am I even watching this? I'm seeing Scott like, I'm Art Vandelay. We're going to prank Chris. Who cares? We want reality. Have we turned a corner? Now, there, of course, is examples. Selling Sunset is a beautiful piece of garbage that I really enjoyed. And it's like completely superficial. But to me, I could stomach that. But with the Kardashians, we know all the dirt. Why are you they'll do little pieces of it, but like maybe invest in actually telling the truth. Now, when you're that rich, you don't need to really do that, but then maybe consider not doing the show, I would say. But I do wonder if this event, the scandal of it all, and the ratings and the money that's coming in is going to make anybody kind of rethink how they approach producing their reality shows. I certainly hope so. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, as they like to say. So here we go. Reunion Part 1. This is the pumped up, uncensored Peacock version. This is the description they give to the cable company to if there's any just casual viewers, like, what should we watch tonight? Reunion Part 1. What's it about, honey? Andy Cohen sits down for an intimate one-on-one interviews with Ariana, Tom, and Raquel to get to the bottom of the cheating scandal. James nearly comes to blows with Sandoval over the affair. Katie and Schwartz rehash the implosion of their divorce. So that sounds like a pretty damn good episode. Now, what they do is brilliant. They start off with those one-on-ones. They start off with the one-on-ones with Sandoval, Ariana, and Raquel. And this is brilliant for so many reasons, because Raquel will probably not be out on that soundstage until the end of Part 2. I can almost see it. She'll be click, 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 click. She'll be walking out with no facial expression that we can read at all at the very end of episode 2 next week, I bet. And then the third episode will be revolving around her. That's my guess. I don't know that for sure. I could be proven wrong. So the audience would be angry if we didn't get some Raquel last night. So they do this brilliant thing of the fan cam, which they have her 100 yards away in a trailer. They have a camera, some camera guy in there watching her watch the footage, which is amazing. I mean, it's truly incredible. It's what the technology behind that is just amazing. Okay, we have that. And then we also have Raquel doing the one-on-one sit-downs with Andy. Now, the day before this reunion was filmed, this is when they filmed those sit-downs. So it was Tom and Raquel and Ariana doing separate sit-downs with Andy. I was wondering if they did it the same day, but actually they did it the day before, which was good to know. So they interspersed like the Raquel thing in the beginning with Andy, and then they have the fan cam. So it was like this great usage of her, even though we couldn't bring her out because of the TRO, the temporary restraining order she filed against Scheana. So it had to be 100 yards away. So this was great use. I thought it was masterfully done. And this is what I would imagine if you're in production is the excitement, is these challenges of how do we get past this? How can we still provide something that the audience wants to see, but be legal, make it exciting? And I thought that lonely shot of a trailer in the parking lot was just so sad and lonely and beautiful and funny and everything wrapped. I mean, didn't you I just now will laugh every time I see a trailer. Okay, so we start off with the preview for the entire reunion. So Andy's like, how did this go from a one-night stand to a full-blown relationship between the two of you? We fade to black. We see wording come on the screen. The scandal that changed everything. And then the everything starts like flashing, like it's like it's paranormal activity. I was like, oh my God, is there a ghost? And Andy's like, Tom, you are in love? And we see a close-up shot of Dirty Tom's face. He closes his eyes intensely. We see a little sweat on his brows. Ugh. And then it's like the reunion that uncovers the whole story. We see a shot of DJ James Kennedy. We see a shot of Ariana crying. I can't think of two worse people. I can't. And she's crying. She's wiping like a tissue, trying to dab her eyes like Candace Dillard Bassett. And Andy's like, tonight on the Vanderpump Rules reunion, we see a shot of Schwartz hop out of an SUV on the back lot. There seems like to be some cityscape on this back lot in the valley. We see Ariana in her dressing room talking to Katie, and she's like, I don't see anything good coming for either of those two fucking rats. Her voice is very deep at the end of that sentence. We see everyone exiting their cars, including Raquel. Raquel is in some sort of like ugly cow sweater with what looks to be like a shake of some sort with like a big orange straw. It looks strawberry. And I love that she was like, I would like to get a shake before I go in here. Andy continues, a reunion that may be more explosive. Then we see Ariana to Sandoval going, don't even fucking look at me. You don't deserve to look at this. And she does one of those hand sweeps around her body. And Andy's like, and dramatic. And then Raquel's like, James and Lala can't talk because they fucked. And Lala's like, I wasn't your best friend, ho. And Lala stands up, like pointing her talons. And James is like, I was 25. I was 25. You hear DJ James Kennedy say that underneath Lala. I don't know if people have picked up on that. He's like, Lala's like, I wasn't your best friend, ho. James is like, I was 25, which we'll talk about that moment because I have something in particular to say about that later. We see Ariana smirking, and then Andy continues, than anything we've seen in this show's 10-year history. And Schwartz is like, she has a long history of diminishing my friendships, Andy. And Katie's like, you're friends with everyone. You're like a serial killer's wet dream, which, by the way, I got a lot of comments when I initially said that I didn't understand that comment. I understand it better now, and I think it's iconic. In fact, I wanted to, I'll do that in part 2. I wanted to thank a couple of people that have sent me t-shirts, and one, it's the serial killer's wet dream, and it has Schwartz's face, and I think it is so flippin' funny. I'll plug them in the second episode. Also, I wanted to plug these Australian baddies, these ladies that sent a big box of Australian goodies like Tim Tams and Vegemite, which Vegemite is so disgusting, and I feel like that is a terrorism threat that you did when you sent me the Vegemite, because it's truly disgusting. But truly, some of you guys are just so amazing to me out there, so thank you so much. I'll talk about that more in part 2. Andy's like, I do have something for you. And Andy's holding some folded up papers to Scheana. And Andy's like, this was filed today, I believe. And Sheena's like, begins to cry. I believe this is Raquel saying that she was dropping the TRO. And then we see wording flash up on screen. What is the truth? And Sandoval's like, they're making you and me to be pathological liars. We see he's in Raquel's porta potty trailer. And Raquel's like, I see that. Yeah. Even though we know that we're not. Do you think they know that they're not? Do you think she's like, even though we know that we're not? And Sandra's like, are you sure you know? Because I'm like kind of confused. I think we might be pathological. You know, guys, Raquel, Sandoval, you have to realize why people might be thinking that, right? Like, it's like, what if this whole time they're like, no, we've been telling the entire truth. Like this, I don't know, but everything I've said is the truth. And then we see wording flash up on screen. And what is a lie? And Katie's like, Tom, when did you find out they were fucking, dude, to Schwartz? And Schwartz is like, late August. And Sandoval's like, late August? And Schwartz is like, yeah. And Sandoval's like, what? And Lala's like, oh, did you not put your timelines together to match? Then we cut to Raquel going, I have been super selfish. And Ariana's like, selfish does not cover it. Diabolical, demented, subhuman. And James is like, poo-poo head. Both of you poo-poo heads. And then he's like, James. And this is where I was like, oh, because you can tell Andy's exhaustion with DJ James Kennedy. And then we see in the first part how many times that he was having to be stopped because of the extreme language, the insanity, the anger. And Andy just looks beaten at that point. He's like, James, no. And then James is like, I'm going to get sent for a time out. And Katie and Ariana are giggling at this. And Lisa's like, this person has loved you and defended you. And then Katie's like, be honest. And Schwartz is like, I'm being honest. And James is like, you backstabbing hoe. And Sandoval's like, get in my face again. I'll fuck you up, motherfucker. which is so fun to hear on Peacock without the beeps. And DJ James Kennedy's like, "I'll fuck you right up. I'll fuck you up so quickly. You're a worm with a mustache." And Andy's like, "My cards." His cards spilled everywhere because James like tried to jump on Sandoval. This poor Andy is just, do you ever worry about Andy, like physically? I do. By the way, Andy dealing with DJ James Kennedy, it's very much, it's like how he deals. I mean, I imagine it's like how he deals with his kids. I just got his daddy diary book, and it's like, Andy has a lot of training dealing with children from Housewives and the Vanderpump Rules cast. So I wonder if that book talks about how he's put some of that direct knowledge into his kids. Then we see a shot of Sandoval outside of the studio. Like, "I need a break from filming, dude. Stop filming me. I don't want a camera in my fucking goddamn face." And he's drinking that Diet Squirt, which, by the way, the Diet Squirt can, where we see him drinking in the finale, loves this Diet Squirt. Somebody made a TikTok video and sent it to me. If this is you, let me know. She was saying that she was like, "Dude, there is alcohol in that Diet Squirt can," because Diet Squirt can kind of be a mixer. And she was like, he says, "Look, every time he sips it, he takes a cocktail sip drink, not a soda type drink." And that's true, because now I'm back on the Diet Coke again, you guys. Look at this big jug of beautiful Diet Coke. This is a soda drink. But he's taking little baby sips, which is kind of like a cocktail drink. So I thought that was such a great observation of that can probably has some alcohol in it every time we see him with the Diet Squirt can. Man, some of you people are just so damn genius and smart. So he's, "Get the camera on my face." And Andy's like, and then we cut back into the studio, and Andy's like, "Tom, you are in love?" There's a long silent pause as the camera pans from Ariana to Rachel. And Lala's like, "Come on. It's a very simple question. Are you in love or are you not?" And little Lala's like, "Yeah, motherfucker, are you in love?" And then the wording goes on screen, 1 day earlier. And at this point, you guys, I mean, we are 2 minutes in, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, my hairs were standing up. My nipples were hard. It was very exciting. I've never felt anything like this. So it was very exciting immediately. We land at Avenue 6 Studios. Andy, Andrew Cohen, and Tom Sandoval are being seated in 2 chairs facing each other. Now, Andy is in a blue suit, and Tom, he has his Diet Squirt, and he has these like kind of brown slacks. I think that's his new look, a little like kind of looser slack look. He has like what looks like bowling shoes on and a navy blue kind of sweater vest thing, like an open sweat, like a buttoned up sweater vest. And then his white nail polish, which I feel like, man, he's trying to be alternative here, obviously, but he's ruined white nail polish for all of men. Like, by the way, do you remember Craig Conover is the one that started nail polish for men on Bravo? And I feel like Tom really co-opted that, and now he's ruined it. I cannot wear nail polish anymore. When I really liked Tom Sandoval a scant 3 months ago, I was considering, like, could I pull nail polish off on a weekly basis? And I was on the fence. I truly was. I don't really go out much, so I was like, it could just be for me, but I was really contemplating. So now it's over. And then we see words go up on screen. "In a reunion first, Andy sat down separately with the principals of the scandal to hear their sides of the story." And Andy's like, "Hey, Tom." And Sandoval like, "Hey, Andy." And Andy's like, "How you doing?" "I'm okay." For Tom Sandoval, it was one final chance to come clean. The wording in the script is so funny. One final chance. Like, until what? Then he's sent to prison. He's like, he's one, it's like, "Dead man walking. He's being sentenced today. We're going to he's got one final chance to tell the truth. He's going to electric chair, boy." And he's like, "Kind of feels like you're the most hated man on television right now." Somewhere, Girth Brooks, Vicky's ex, is like, "Ha ha ha, all right." Sandoval goes, yeah. His stupid necklace is hanging down on his white shirt. I'm sure it's a Kyle Chan original, but thank God it's not a lightning bolt. We jump to the one-on-one with Ariana. Ariana looks amazing. And he's like, "How are we doing?" And Ariana's like, "A lot better now than I was." I was like, let's say like 2 or 3 weeks ago. She's wearing what looks to be one of like those car window visors. that you put out to capture the sun so your car doesn't get as hot. It looks like she's wearing that in the shape of a beautiful dress. It was very silver and reflective and metallic. Her hair is beautiful. There's like 2 long bangs on each side of her face. And the script for her was, for Ariana, it was a moment to share her experience. I love that Tom's was, it was a time to, one last chance to come clean. And Ariana's was like, a chance to share with us all her experiences. And Andy goes, you look great despite it all. And Ariana's like, well, thank you. And Andy's like, well, what's your current living status with Tom? Let's talk about the mental states going into something like this, right? From Ariana, from Tom, from Raquel. You know, you can tell Tom is obviously nervous and he's exhibiting those nerves. I don't know how much of that is an act, how much of that is true nerves. I'm sure it's a mixture of both. But Ariana, you can also tell is nervous, but she's exhibiting these in a very strong way. It's making her sit up a little straighter. It's making her snap too. She's really seems like she's focused. Now, Raquel, once again, big question mark. Can't really tell. It's wild. But I do wonder what it's like going into these situations. I always use this horrible example of seeing Return of the Jedi as a little kid. And there's this moment, Luke Skywalker, it turns out Darth Vader is this guy's father. Spoiler alert for anybody that's not watched the Star Wars stuff yet. And there's this part in Return of the Jedi where Luke tells, you know, they're in a spaceship somewhere far away. We got Han and Leia and Lando Calrissian, or I think that's the guy's name. And Luke's like, dude, I got to go back and face my father. And I was like, no, you don't. You literally aren't. You're so far. You don't have to go, dude. It's a big galaxy. Like, stay the fuck away. Like, why are you going to do that? You could die. What are you talking about? And I just always think about those moments of like, what did Luke Skywalker think? This is how grown up I am. What did Luke Skywalker think when he went in to face his father? Because, you know, like, and I just wonder, these people having to go into these situations that normally a lot of us would completely run from. And they go into this. Now, of course, they're getting paid. So it's a lot different for them than it is, you know, any of us. I don't know. It's just something I think about. So Ariana's like, well, Tom's been staying in the guest room and I avoid run-ins at all costs. We have people kind of running interference and go-betweens to prevent that from happening. I mean, how damaged do you have to be to stay in the house? Like, I think that is truly one of the most asshole moves Tom can do. I know he's purchased it, blah, 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 blah. But what he said on Howie Mandel is like, I don't have any place to go, dude. That's bullshit. You're telling Schwartz, your big old buddy wouldn't like let you crash in his catch-all room that he has all those horrible paintings of Lisa in. Give me a break. Is there too much room with Joe staying over there still? Like, come on. He was there because he wanted to make her uncomfortable. He was getting indignant. He was getting angry when he shouldn't have been. When I was separated and divorced, you know, like, I pulled myself out of there completely. Slept at my buddy's place for a while. Slept in a car a couple times. I stayed at so many different places because I didn't want to. I personally didn't want to be there, and also I realized that wouldn't be good for her either. You know, we would just end up fighting more and more. Like you're just. And I know it's a big house, all that bullshit, but come on. It's that thing of that underlying thing, if he's not even aware of it, of wanting her to feel uncomfortable. And you can't argue that he is at fault here. He did have an affair and he lied about it. And I feel like the onus should be on him. And like, you're not, come on, stay over at Kyle Chan's house. Stay over at your drummer's house. Like, give me a break. You could not be there. Like, you're spending all this money on all this other shit. You're telling me you can't, you know, you're spending money on hotels in Austin. Give me a break. He's there. He's being indignant. I think it's like a really shitty thing to do. Next, we see a one-on-one with Raquel. And Raquel looks like she's dressed for like a job interview of some sort, which I guess is like, you know, will you hire me at the place, you know, of like, don't hate me? I don't. But Andy's like, how are you feeling about seeing everyone in a group setting? And she goes, I don't know. I'm just preparing for the worst. Hoping for the best. And she gives this weird like smile, like, ah. And it's so weird, you guys. Like, what is that even? I'm just preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. What is the best? Like Andy, can I get a follow-up question on this? What do you consider the best? Is the best like Ariana's like, damn, dude, I miss our friendship. Okay, I get it. You're gonna be with Tom now, but let's all okay, we've all explained it enough. Let's all go back to the group of friends. Like, what does hoping for the best mean? And what is preparing for the worst? What do those look like to you, Raquel? Because I need more specifics. I don't need coach lines. I don't need reading off of some script that was prepared for you. I want to know what Raquel thinks of these things. Use that beauty pageant training and please let us know. The script goes up on the TV for Raquel. It was a chance to explain how it all happened. And it was like, okay, cool. It would be great if Raquel's little like verbiage they put on screen were just question marks. I'm like, we don't even know, man. We're just going to get what we get. Raquel was a chance to explain how it all happened. And then it goes, but more on that later, which is like such an LOL. But anyways, this is what I was telling you. It was kind of the perfect transition of, okay, we got little Raquel, but more on that later, saying like, don't expect her again this episode, even though we got the Raquel fan cam, which was just brilliant. Whoever thought of that, hats off. So we go back to Ariana in that one-on-one with Andy, and Andy's like, have you seen or spoken to Raquel? And Ariana's like, no. She texted me. It took her 48 whole hours to text me. And even Ariana has a Raquel imitation. She's like, I don't even know what to say. I'm just so sorry. And I said, fuck off, you fucking rat. And I blocked her. Hey-o. They show us the actual text message between them. And I got to tell you, when Ariana, when we get her to hear her voice say, shut the fuck up, you fucking rat, that's the worst. That's worth the Peacock subscription alone for me. Then we go back to Sandoval and Tom and Andy's like, sorry, Sandoval and Andy. And Andy's like, looking back, when did you realize that you had feelings for Raquel? And it is interesting how Andy sometimes will pronounce Rocky's name. He'll be like Raquel. And I know it's Rachel, but she wants to be called Raquel. I don't care either way about that. But Ariana calls her Rachel now, so I guess I'll do it. But Raquel, when Andy says that, it makes me laugh. Sandoval, by the way, blows a deep breath, and he's like, this is the big moment, dude. Let's go. It's showtime. So he like, let's have this deep breath. And he's practically whispering. He's like, honestly, throughout last year, like the beginning of the year, I really started to like see and get to know who she really was. And Andy's like, when did you first hook up? So we had that guys' night at the Mondrian. And Andy's like, right. And I'm like, guys' night! Of course, DJ James Kennedy, guys' night! They flash back to guys' night at the Mondrian. We see that scene where Schwartz sees Raquel and Charlie walk in. And Schwartz like, oh, shit. And James like, what the fuck? Because it's guys' night. You don't invite girls on guys' night. And Sandoval's like, what's up? Sandoval in this interview goes, that very next See You Next Tuesday, which is, See You Next Tuesday is DJ James Kennedy's DJ gig. And he's like, okay, they were filming. They flash back to 5 days after the Mondrian event with that scene with Raquel and James earlier in the season, where Raquel's like, I just noticed you left the Mondrian early, and I just wanted to check in with you and make sure that you were okay. Sandoval continues, we weren't a part of that scene, but then a bunch of us went to the Abbey, and it was that night. Who's a bunch of us, by the way? And he's like, you had sex that night. And Sandoval pauses like, yeah. Which is so interesting. Think about that. So that's the first time, right? And that would have been, what is that? That's August? The week of Charlotte's death. So that's August. Pre-Scheana's wedding. This is guys' night. So they had sex, right? Or made love, whatever you want to call it. And isn't that also interesting of like, there was not even like we made out. It's like we boned. We bumped uglies. Raw dog, Randy. High up top. Nope. Okay. Like it wasn't even like we made out. Like we went right to sex, which then makes me also believe, and I've now talked about this for a couple of weeks, is that I truly don't believe the timeline is correct. And I believe that's going to come out later because that's the first time and you immediately go to sex. And I know maybe you guys are a lot sexier than I am, and that you're like, of course, dude, we just hop right to sex. But I like to do a little spooning. I like to do a little, a little crying on shoulders before we get naked at all. And they went right to sex. So that's why I'm like, well, that doesn't really seem to make sense either. Because once you work up to something like that, I know I'm not a reality star, but I feel like boom, you're already at sex that first night. I don't know. That was just something that stuck out to me. And Andy goes, you had sex that night. I was like, yeah. Andy, by the way, real needed a follow-up here of like, did you use a condom? Now, I know that doesn't really here nor there, but wouldn't you love to know if he did, raw dog? Like, wouldn't you? And I'm not like, because that would, and I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts he did not wrap it up. He does not seem like the kind of and if it was a moment of passion, and also he was with Ariana, and I don't think they were, I don't want to speculate on that, but I don't think Tom was just carrying around condoms like he was carrying around tampons at Jax's Kentucky Castle wedding. You know what I'm saying? I'm curious if that was thought about or asked at all. Weren't you guys a little curious? Maybe it's just me. I'm a sicko. Ariana goes, in her one-on-one, it's like, were you suspicious that something was going on? And Ariana's like, absolutely not. No. And Andy goes, watching the show, you vehemently stood up for Tom. They flash back to that Kristina Kelly event in the season. Ariana saying to Katie, obviously I love Raquel like dearly. She's one of like my closest friends. And I not only trust and love her, but I trust and love my boyfriend. And then we also see the scene from Lala 2 episodes before the finale where Lala's like, Tom came up to me, Ariana, and was like, Ariana's really mad at me right now. And Ariana's like, because he couldn't get a ride. And Lala's like, home to you? And Ariana's like, yeah, because Jason left, the drummer. And Lala goes, do you think he should have just gone at that time? And Ariana's like, I don't think he knew that Jason left at that time. And Ariana to Andy goes, here's the thing. I feel like as a loyal and committed partner, if he gives me an answer, I give him the benefit of the doubt and I trust him. Then we cut back to Sandoval. The editing on this is just so perfect. And he's like, when you're all glamping for Raquel's birthday, I love when anybody uses the word glamping because it completely like drops out. You're just like, glamping? Okay. It's just the word glamping is just it's not sexy. It's not sexy. Guys, I'm looking for sexy words. There truly is something wrong with me. I need more sexy words. When you're glamping. Tom's all looking serious, like, Andy's asking me about the glamping. Okay, yeah. They flash back to the glamping September of 2022. So that's pre-boning when Tom said the boning started. I did an Instagram post today. We got to get a community calendar going. I'm sure there's one on Reddit, but I don't go on Reddit unless somebody sends me a post. But we got to get like a community calendar because I feel like we can just poke holes through. This is going to be bigger than the JFK assassination at some point because they truly, these cheaters, like, by the way, that's a good product for somebody that wants to have some time on their hands. Make a calendar for cheaters. Like, keep your story straight with a new Cheater Allender. The name needs work, but there's, and then you can keep your story straight and you use invisible ink or something. So it's like a whole kind of spy. Anyways, they flash back and Ariana's like, we love you, Raquel. And Sandoval's like getting up and hugging her. We love you, Raquel. And Andy's like, at that point, were you two together? And Sandoval's like, no. And Andy goes, you were not? And he's like, no. Wasn't like, and also a follow-up question for that, Andy, I would ask, like, did you make Ariana pay for those like expensive sunglasses you gave her on her birthday? But how dark is that? So September is the glamping after Scheana's wedding, which I think they hooked up as well at the wedding, even though I don't think they're going to admit it. So they've already had sex, but then they go on this glamping trip and Sandoval's like, no, dude, like, why would we ever believe you at this point? There's just no, like, I think everything should preface of like, I know that there's no reason to believe me, but no, we did not. Like, I was. So at this point, it must have cooled down for a couple of weeks. So it wasn't weird that they all went on a glamping trip, but it is completely disgusting. It's completely disgusting. And it feels like, at no point were you watching your partner of 9 years hug this woman and encourage her and go, I'm a heartless bastard. At no point did you see that and go, never again, never again. And if I do have the urge, I need to tell Ariana at this point immediately if Tom's timeline is correct. And I'm telling you it's not. I'm telling you it's not. Which, by the way, we'll talk about Call Her Daddy on part 2, which I already gave you guys a key piece of information that they said during Call Her Daddy. And I talk so much that these little things that I give you that I know are true, nobody really hops and like kind of, I need to press release some of this shit because I told you guys of Raquel staying in the hotel room the night of Watch What Happens Live with Sandoval when him and Schwartz were in town the night of the premiere of Vanderpump Rules. We got confirmation finally on Call Her Daddy, but I told you guys that like a month and a half ago. Like I'm so silly sometimes that people are like, I don't know if you just don't listen, or I know tons of you guys are listening. I see the numbers, but like I should just press release this shit. Like that was not, I mean, Raquel was in that hotel room and we finally got full confirmation from Ariana on that. So I just think once again, Sandoval's a scum for then watching this shit and I should keep going. I should not break up with her. I should keep this all going. Like, don't you feel bad? That's the other, I just want Andy to be like, didn't you feel disgusting? Like at no point were you like, we've got to stop completely. Who are we? Like, what are we doing? Which in part 2, we're going to do the never before seen clips from last week's episode as well. So Sandoval's like, oh, we had that like first time and then we took a break. And Andy's like, well, when did it kick back up? I remember it being a little after like we went to Life is Beautiful, like after we wrapped, which by the way, from my understanding, because I was texting, I mean, I remember, like, I believe they wrapped, they missed the first day of Life is Beautiful because they were filming and then they immediately flew and did the final 2 days or the final day or something. Cause like, this was like, they wrapped and then they went. So that's when it kicked back up, which is so dark too, of like, how do you kick this back up when you watch your partner of 9 years cry after, and that same night you yell at Queen Terry Maloney, how dare you, Tom Sandoval? How do you then go to the festival with all these people, put her on your shoulders, and then, dip into her, dude? I'm going to dip into her, dude. It's so weird. I just keep trying to understand the pathology, anyways. They show that video of Raquel on Sandoval's shoulder at Life is Beautiful. And Andy's like, but this was before BravoCon. And Sandoval's like, yeah. And Andy's like, you had that concert. The Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras concert was the part of BravoCon on Saturday night. And Andy's like, I'm standing down in the front. Ariana's there and Raquel's there. And they show that footage of everybody in the front. And Andy's like, when you're standing on stage and you see your girlfriend and your mistress next to each other, what are you thinking? Did it get you off? Did it? And Sandoval's like, no, my God, no. Oh, dude. And he puts his head into his hands and all we see is that nail polish. It's like, looks like a demon. He's like, ah. But he's like, no, dude, no, dude. But dude, answer the question. What was going through your head? Was it fear? Was it like, my God, I hope Raquel doesn't say anything. I hope Ariana doesn't ask something too much. Well, I mean, and then the obvious thing is you're lying. You did get off on it to a degree because otherwise you would have done something about it. You got off it. You were playing the rock star. You were. You're not in Motley Crue, dude. You were playing the rock star. That got you off. And also, yeah, Bravo. I was there at that concert that night. Of course, that's the night my bag got stolen with all my equipment. There is a Teresa Giudice interview that I did out there somewhere that somebody has. If you could please return it, email me. It's so bad. It's good with RyanBailey@gmail.com. I would really appreciate it. Man, I lost my wallet that night. But what's so crazy is I always talk about this. That night after that, Ariana was so nice to me. And Tom, but Ariana was like, hey, come, we're over at Schwartz's. We're doing Schwartz's 40th birthday at this bar right down the street from the Gansport where we were all staying. And like, that was where like Kyle, Tom, all those people were there, Raquel included. And I just keep thinking back to that. I'm thinking of clues of like, was Tom being weird with Raquel and Art? Like, and I was like, no, I just saw Tom being normal Tom with Ariana. And Raquel was there too. And I just couldn't, like, I would be a basket case. Like I would be I'm always sweating, but I would be sweating even more and being like, I gotta go. I don't want to be here. I don't want to, like he was just there having the time of his life. It was so weird to me in retrospect to think back about that. Then we cut to Ariana's interview. Oh my God, this is already so long. We're an hour. Ariana goes, Andy goes, looking back, Ariana, are there situations now that you think, how did I miss this? And she's like, yeah, of course. And she goes, more so with her than him, because we all know men are trash, no offense. And Andy's like, I'm going to co-sign on that. And Ariana's like, but I trust my girlfriends, and so For someone to be so ingratiated into my life as a friend, we cut to Ariana hugging Raquel during that glamping trip. How could someone be as close to me as she was? You know what I'm saying? Um, she says, a guy I almost more expected, but I can't imagine doing that to one of my friends. Then Sandoval cut to him in the one-on-one, and he's like, the big question on everyone's mind is, how did things come to cheating on your girlfriend of 9 years with one of your closest friends? And Sandoval once again sighs. Oh man, Andy, Ariana and I kept our relationship pretty private for many years. We had issues, you know. I felt like I was her gay BFF. We put on the front when we were filming, and I even talked with our showrunner about that. And then we get a flashback to unseen footage from September 2022 at Tom Tom's, which I believe this footage is from the season finale night after the sandwich shop opening when they all went to Tom Tom. And we hear Tom's voice. I believe he's talking to producer Jeremiah. And Sandoval's like, I feel guilty. Like, the people put themselves out there, man. And the producer's like, yeah, like, it's not fair. Like, I feel like it's important for us. He's talking about him and Ariana to talk about this shit and not pretend like it's all amazing. Okay, but remember, at the time, he was already in the relationship with Raquel. So, of course, he's going to try to get Ariana out of his life in any way possible, with others doing the work instead of him telling her himself. So even this question about Ariana, this thing. So he's like, oh, we had problems. I was her gay BFF. Bullshit, because actually in the finale and one time before, that episode before, where he's like, dude, we need to be closer. You always hang out with Logan, which actually is her gay BFF. And she's like, you don't want to do what we do, Tom. He's like, I love Beyonce. You keep Beyonce's name out of your mouth, Tom. But Logan is her gay BFF, and that's who she treated like her gay BFF. And it's once again what I was saying earlier about him working backwards. He did the cheating. Now he's trying to deconstruct. He's trying to, build it from the bottom up. And it's really bad because he's trying to find these reasons like, oh, dude, we had problems, man. We had real problems. And I feel like all these problems, maybe some of them are real, but most of them lived in Tom's head that never actually came out of his mouth. Or they came out of his mouth in a normal way that relationships have issues. You out there, all of you in relationships, you have issues with your partners, right? If you have a partner, you're going to have issues. That's normal. Nobody is perfect. It's just part of, living with somebody else that is not you, or dating, or do you know what I'm saying? Any of that stuff. It comes with its own set of problems. But all of a sudden now he's using this. He's building the case, why he shouldn't be with Ariana. And so even with this, I do wonder in terms of production, if they're kind of like, in retrospective, like, dude, you were even trying to use us. He tried to use production against Ariana. He's whispering like, dude, why don't we get a shot of Ariana taking a big stinky poo? She sometimes doesn't use poopery, dude. Yeah, she won't even let him act, man. You think I should be with that? Like, we need to tell our truth, dude. Like, he's all of a sudden encouraging, like, telling the truth. And I do wonder, because I would imagine Tom is a lot to deal with in terms of production. He's been on this show 10 years and he really cares about this show. He really does. That is something that I will never take away from him. In that interview I did with him last January, we talked about that. We talked about in terms of Raquel, is that he paid for those fireworks. Yeah, he wanted to, DJ James Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. He paid for those, though. He says very clearly in that interview I did with him, he wanted it to look amazing for the audience. He said he could see it in his mind, all the fireworks going off. He said it was a big moment. We had a big moment, and I wanted to make sure we had that. Because he said production wouldn't pay for it. But he knew, and he was like, I know the ratings. Like, he was talking about it very clearly of like, I wanted, them to see something amazing. And he was like, yeah, of course it was helping my friend out as well. But part of him doing that was for the show, for the sake of the show, wanting, it to be great. And that's very Tom Sandoval, right? Like the band, dressing all the band and the way he wants to see it, all of his different looks. He's very planned and staged when it comes to the the accoutrement or the big spectacle of it all. He loves the spectacle. But this is weird when he's trying to make the case behind the scenes. And he even points up like, dude, I even tried to talk to the show. And he brought this up on Howie Mandel as well. Like he's pointing to this all the time. I'm like, dude, do you think I would have talked to them if it wasn't like, you ask Jeremiah, dude, he knows I talked to him. But how many times did you talk to him? Like I am curious from production standpoint, how many times did Tom Sandoval come to them? Or was this the first time? I think it probably was one of the first times. So Sandoval in this interview with Andy goes, for us to like have these issues and keeping them from people, I don't think it's fair to the rest of the cast. Okay, but wouldn't it be also interesting though, Tom, is just to speculate for a second, is that you kind of did keep it from the cast because you could have just walked up to Jeremiah and say, dude, I'm totally boning Raquel, dude. Smell my fingers. But you didn't. You solved the mystery, Jeremiah, or production? You didn't. So you didn't think it was fair to the rest of the cast that, you weren't telling the truth, but you didn't tell the truth. You could have told the truth. You did keep it from the rest of the cast. You did keep, you can't tell a partial truth. Well, I think I've hinted at it pretty deeply. It's like, no, you didn't. You could have told them and you didn't. Ariana in her interview goes, Andy goes, were there elements of your relationship that you were hiding or not sharing with the cameras? And Ariana's like, I feel like I always showed everything. And Andy's like, yeah. And Ariana's like, from my point of view, he's framing it now as something else. Bingo, what we just talked about, right? Because Ariana's like, I thought I was pretty honest all the time. And Ariana goes, because he has to. He's desperate. He will throw anything at the wall right now, hoping that it will stick. Because he's the one who used to tell me, he coached me on this the same way he's coaching Rachel. Whoa. I'm going to need some of these coaching sessions on tape. Like, dude, Ariana, you got to sell it to me, dude. Just hit. Okay, so I'm Jax. I'm coming at you with some bullshit about your sexuality. Now hit me. What are you going to say? No, Ariana. No, I'm going to need you to say, you're a tired old man. Say it with me. I do love the element of Sandoval coaching somebody. And I really want more of that. I want to see Tom coaching. But listen, at this point, I mean, do you guys really honestly ever feel like Ariana's lying to us? I truly don't. I truly, truly don't. There's nothing fantastical about any of this stuff. I've actually sometimes that missing piece where you're like, okay, now it actually makes more sense. And he's like, well, what do you think he's telling her? And Ariana's like, well, I'm going to get their lies right. Going to get their story right. Their spin on whatever it is. Because if you don't have matching answers. And Andy goes, right. You've moved on from tears to anger. I see Ariana. And Ariana's like, yep. But the indifference is becoming a very, very strong feeling, which is amazing. Because that's what you kind of want, right? To escape from the anger and just be like, yeah, I guess indifferent. And in relationships, right, with us is that's kind of the goal too, is to get away from the anger where it doesn't completely change who you are, to be indifferent, but to also try to remain yourself in some way, which is so hard. Sandoval in his one-on-one, go back to that. And he's like, how are you feeling about seeing everybody at the reunion? And Sandoval's like, and Andy goes, you nervous? And Sandoval's like, yeah, I'm nervous. And I'm scared, but I'm ready to face it. And he wipes away his little tear. Andy, by the way, in an interview, I think somewhere said, Tom looked like a broken man, which is okay, fine. Rachel doesn't look like a broken woman, but I do sometimes wonder about Andy's view on behavior. I mean, Andy's an extremely smart person, and he's so just with it in so many ways. But even sometimes I feel like I'm like, really, Andy? You think this man is a broken man? I mean, maybe a little. He's exhibiting nerves, but I think the pathology underneath it and all the behavior, I think it shows to narcissistic tendencies. That he's in obviously survival mode, and he wants you to think of him as a broken man. He wants you to see him as a broken man. And I sometimes what do you really think, Andy? Is that what you really think? And are you that easy to convince? And also, I really truly want to know what Andy thought of Raquel doing those sit downs. I really truly want to know what, and Andy will never be able to tell us because he wants Rachel to sign on for next season, I would imagine. So he can't say, but I would love to be one of his friends. Oh my God. So now we see script comes up, day of reunion. Scheana's in their dressing room with Ariana, and she's like, "You look amazing, babe." And Ariana's like, "Thanks. I probably lost 5 pounds in the last 2 weeks." And Scheana's like, "Same. Well, you look amazing." And Ariana's like, "Stress will do that to you." And she's like, "No kidding." And I'm like, "My God, stress actually puts weight on me." I'm like, "My God, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. My God, I need this Vanderpump to be over." Oh, you guys, last night, it's like I got home from that Cane's chicken thing, and I got one of the biggest pressure headaches that I've ever had in my life. I think it was a pressure headache. I don't know, but it was like it was pounding. I watched the reunion the whole time. I can, by the way, I could barely make memes, you guys. The memes last night were not flowing. It was like I was like out of one eye. I had a warm towel, a washcloth on my face at one point. It was so pain. I finally knocked myself out, and I woke up this morning and it was like still there. I got really scared. I thought I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to do the podcast today. Like I woke up that and I was like, is there any kind of science to say like, does the headache like build while you sleep? Because it like woke, and then finally it started to dissipate, but it was really scary. Like it was no fun. And I was just wondering like what that was. I'm sure, I mean, I'm going through so many things anyways, but it was I usually don't exhibit in that kind of way. It was scary. We see DJ James Kennedy giving himself a last spray to his Max Headroom hair. It's a lot of spray. In fact, we see somebody die in the background because he's just like, zzz, and the makeup artist is like, all right, go get him. Sandoval's in his dressing room. It's so funny. Sandoval's in his dressing room, just in this lonely chair. And he's like, we'll see what happens. And then Andy's in the studio. You know, we know him, the studio. He's always there. And Andy's like, okay, should we bring everybody out? And Schwartz is the first to walk out. He's like, what's up, Andy? Selfie? Because Andy has his phone out. I love Schwartz's meeting like, hey, you want to take a picture with me? I'm a nice guy. Andy's filming himself, which we saw on his Instagram stories. He's like, you know what I need to know from you, Schwartz? Schwartz, by the way, is in a blue suit with a T-shirt that's untucked, a little messy. And he's these glasses, which is what looks like leopard print on them. He kind of does this penguin walk in of just like waddling. And Schwartz is like, yeah. And Andy's like, were you silent? Or were you silenced? Which is the famous Oprah Winfrey from the Meghan and Harry interview on CBS a long time ago. And Schwartz whispers, the answer's both. And Andy's face shows that he's not surprised. And Schwartz is like, what a fucked up situation, Andy. It's like, bro, can you believe it? We did it again. We're still idiots, bro. 10 years in, bro. But I love it. Like, this is Schwartz trying to win the room. We always used to say that in auditions. You might not get the part, but win the room. Be charming, try to, be personable, be easy to work with. And that Schwartz is like, dude, can you believe this, Andy? Man, crazy stuff, right? Anyways, great to see you, man. Lala then enters, then Katie. They both look beautiful. And Andy's doing the normal, like, wow. And Schwartz is like, whoa. And Andy's like, I mean, you can pull that off. And Lala's like, thank you for saying that. And Andy to Katie is like, wow, I love this. And Katie's like, thanks. James walks in and Andy's like, oh. And James like, hi, Andy. I missed you. Guys night. And they hug. And Andy's like, hi, James. Good to see you, Andy. And Andy's like, I don't want to get my makeup on you. Scheana enters next, and she looks beautiful, but she's rocking these kind of slippers because they're going to bring out her shoes to her next. James sits in between Lala and Katie and blows out a giant breath. He's like, oh. And James, whether did you notice he has like this suit jacket, like very tight fitted suit. And he keeps like putting his hands on both of the like kind of sides of the suit, the lapel area, whatever the fuck that's called. And he's like pulling it down like, it's a YouTube extra. You'll see what I'm doing. Lisa's being guided up. Oh, where am I going? Nigga Lane, did you build a set? Oh, I need a Nigga Lane build set. But Lisa's walking out. She's like, I feel like I'm dressed like a gladiator. I'm ready to sort it all out. Girl, chill. You ain't ready to sort out shit. In fact, we do not need you on this episode at all. You slowed things down in a lot of ways. You're fun, but like, don't like, I'm here to work it all out for my kids, the children I've raised. And I'm sorry. I think there is a perverse pleasure she gets from this, just like us, the viewers, that she is, and the on the fence, that's the real thing, is that you would think if these are real situations and these are real people, I know there's a show going on, but at a certain point, the show needs to be put aside and reality needs to kick in. You know, I mean, not only I just feel like sometimes it's not even playing the fence. She's like fucking on those, like the misogyny. Like it feels like she sometimes really dislikes the women and really champions the cheaters. I mean, the men. And I just feel but like her patting herself on the back. I'm ready to sort it out. And the producer says, "You're ready to fight." You know, it's so weird. And then she comes out and she's like, "I love each and every one of you. Don't forget the truth is going to come out." Shut up. What are you? Don't forget the truth. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Oh, good. Is the truth going to come? Oh, okay. Well, good then. Lisa says the truth's going to come out. At this point, Ken stumbles on and says, "Did you know some Sandoval was in the jacuzzi with Raquel?" "Ken, I told you to stay back there." Ariana is let out next. She's in her revenge dress, the red bandage, Fifth Element, hitting all of the private areas at the right places. And Lala's like, "Ooh, you be hitting different today, girl." And little Lala's like, "Fuck yeah, uncover that beaver, girl." And Katie's like, "You look great." And James's eyes like bugging out, like, "Whoa, zoinks." And then Lisa's like, "That's the revenge dress if I ever saw one." Ariana sits and laughs, and Anne's like, "She's like Princess Diana." James to Lala is like, "Bring him out. Do it." The music's like boom, 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 boom. "Dead man walking. We got Sandoval." The producer goes, "Okay, here he comes. Here they. We're walking. I'll give a count to it. We're walking now. We're walking." And we see Tom from the back just walking. Dum, 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 dum. "Right this way, sir. Right this way." "Sweet chariot, come for to carry me home, chariot. I walked over Jordan, what did I see? Come for to carry me home." It's like just really intense. And so we're like, "Okay, yes, go on." Andy is getting like a last minute brushing of all the, stuff. And everybody just, when Tom walks out, James is like a laser. He's like, he like laser looks at Tom. He goes to a seat next to Lisa with Schwartz on the other side of him, and Scheana is at the end of their row. And Ariana has this gross face on, like, ugh. And James and Lala goes, "My heart's pounding," which is very cute when you think he's very nervous. Now, nerves, we talk about nerves and like, going into this thing, James is very nervous. It's funny though how we exhibit nerves. James just gets really hyper and just starts cursing and threatening. But in a, at the end of the day, he's scared, right? He's scared. And I imagine this is like the moment that the battle starts, right? They are ready to face this man finally. Now, here is a little surprise for you all. Here's a little surprise for you all. I asked Miss Lala Kent this question today. I said, "Were you scared at all going in there and dealing with Sandoval? Like, from our point of view, you were easily able to verbally assassinate him. But in those moments when you're going into this, are you scared of what he's going to throw back? Or is it pretty easy because he's not that good at speaking?" And I was like, "Did you ever feel cut by him?" Now, this is Miss Lala Kent. This is not a joke. I asked her if I could use this, and she said yes. And so this is Miss Lala, a voice note she sent to me today.
"I was not nervous at all. I felt like anytime he came for me, I knew exactly what he would do. It was always going to be pulled from the past. And I was very much in living in the now, which is why I repeatedly told him to shut the fuck up, because it was like, I know where you're going to go. You're going to pull out the history books that are irrelevant now. And also, I don't really care about what you say. Like, what you think and your perspective is completely irrelevant and does not matter to me." Does that help? Sorry, I'm about to get a laser treatment.
That was Miss Lala Kent. That truly was Lala. And I thought it was great. And I love that she ended it with, "I'm about to get a laser treatment. Sorry," which is the most perfect Lala thing that you can have. So thank you, Lala, for letting me use that. I really do appreciate that, because I really was thinking about just going into this. And especially in this situation, was like going into battle, right? Like, what's going to happen at this point? And I was just wondering if at any moment Lala was scared, or if James was scared. I think James, especially, there was some fear there. But then once he got out and it got rolling, they were like immediately, it was like white on rice. So Ariana says to Katie, "Well, he looks like shit." And Lala mouths to Scheana across from her going, I hate him. And Scheana shakes her head yes. And the producer goes, okay, 5 seconds out, 3 seconds. And then we go to commercial. We come back from break. Shots of the valley. Tom is, out there, and he's like, let's dive into the Vanderpump Rules Season 10 reunion. I'm Andy Cohen, joined by Lisa Vanderpump and the gang, that crazy gang from the Vanderpump Rules, minus Raquel Leviss, who is not legally allowed to be in the same room as Scheana Shay. Ariana smiles, and this is when they show the trailer, this lonely trailer out by the fence in the parking lot, and it says 100 feet away. It's like the perfect, it is so silly, but at the same time, so dramatic. And we see Raquel watching Andy on TV with her hand propped up on her chin, like, oh, it's cute. I'm just being cute. I'm cute watching the TV. I do wonder if she realized this was actually being live, or she's like, when was this filmed last year? I love reunions. When do I get to go? Like, it was just so fascinating. I would have to be watching from the toilet. So Andy goes, due to the restraining order she filed, so Raquel will be joining us a little bit later. Back in the studio. And he's like, hi, Lisa. Hello, Andy. How are you feeling? I'm glad to be here. Normally, I don't like reunions, but this one I think is much needed. Yeah, because you love attention. You're like, I love attention. I wouldn't miss this one for the world. Normally, the last couple of seasons, they've been horrific. But this one, yes, count me in. And Andy goes, Ariana, how are you feeling tonight? She's like, well, I mean, as good as I could be feeling, I guess. I got a great night's sleep last night. And at this moment, we cut to Ariana doing a Tempur-Pedic commercial. She's like, when you've been cheated on with a partner of 9 years, I get a great night's rest on a Tempur-Pedic. I would love if they did product integration throughout. And Ariana's like, that's never happened before with the sleep. I'm usually very nervous for reunions. And he goes, Sandoval, is this your first time seeing the group since news of the affair broke? And he's like, yes. I wasn't invited to any of Ariana's breakup parties. No, he just says, yeah. And Andy goes, how are you feeling? I'm all over the place, to be honest. To be honest should be something that is banned from Sandoval's verbiage. The camera showed James scowling at Sandoval. And Andy goes, Schwartz, this is your first reunion that you've not sat next to Katie. How does that feel? And he's like, wow. Yeah. Huh. It's strange. And James to Lala was like, didn't cross his mind, did it? Lala laughs. But it is sad. It really doesn't seem to have crossed his mind, which also shows you one of the perpetual problems of their relationship. And George's like, it's kind of sad, honestly, but I'm okay with it. We put a lot of work into our post-divorce relationship. And Katie's like, I don't agree with that. And George's like, we have. Okay, fine. Anyways. And Andy goes, James, since most of the women are angry with Sandoval and Schwartz, does that now mean that you are the number one guy in the group? And he's like, well, it's not hard to compete when working with Schwartz and a clown. And by the way, he, I guess, technically by default is the number one guy in the group, even though we want to remind people, DJ James Kennedy has done a lot of dangerous, bad things in his past, and potentially he will again. By the way, this to me is DJ James Kennedy's get out of jail free card. How are you going to use this, DJ James Kennedy? You have the will of the people on your side right now. It is yours to screw up. Don't, right? Do you see what it's like? Do you see what it feels like to be really liked by the fan base? Like, remember this feeling. You don't get it often. You don't blow it. Really, don't blow it. Andy's like, Katie, great to see you. Great to see you too, Andy. Hi, Lala. Who's with Ocean today? Your mom? And she's like, yeah, Mom. Scheana, congratulations on the wedding. Thank you. Are you and Brock still in the honeymoon phase? And she's like, yeah, he got up all his hair yesterday. And they flash a photo of a freshly cropped Brock. He looks really good with short hair. And Andy's like, no way. And Scheana's like, yeah. And Sandoval's like, what? Like he's trying to be a nice guy that cares about other people. He's like, no way, Brock. Dude, that's what I hate, missing big moments like this. Brock cut off his hair? No shit, dude. He turns to her. He's like, what, dude? Oh my God. Oh, nice. And he goes, obviously, the most burning thing on everyone's mind today is Sandoval and Raquel's affair that happened right under everyone's noses. They flash back to a talking head with Allie going, I saw Sandoval and Raquel dancing together at the Abbey. And then Allie with James I thought it was kind of weird. It was like 1 a.m. and where's Ariana? And we finally see the actual moment. This is not me joking with the moment. We see the scene with Ken shuffling into the kitchen. I can't believe what? Tom Sandoval and Raquel over and Ariana's away. I know. And Katie's like, what? In their kitchen? Which, by the way, I do want to pitch this. So sorry, Peter Madrigal, that I say this. Like, Peter at the end usually gets to bring in shots. He's like, the cheater's surprise. Everybody drink up. Peter gets to bring those drinks in usually. I want Ken to, like, Ken's like, oh, I brought in a jacuzzi shot for everybody at the end of the reunion. Wouldn't that be amazing? We also then see a scene of Lala telling Lisa and Katie, Tom Sandoval came to the barbecue that I was at in Newport. Ariana was calling him and he didn't leave for another 2 hours and he was with Rocky Raquel. And Andy's like, we're going to get into that a bit now and then more. They cut over to Raquel's fan cam and she's just like watching on TV, just like, woo. Which, by the way, this is exactly how I watch the Nicole Kidman AMC trailer of like, we come to this place for love, the movies. This is how I watch that. I'm like, wow, this is Raquel you would have thought she was watching. I mean, just whatever silly fucking movie she loves. It is so weird. And she's like, when we bring Raquel over, Sandoval, and then she puts double hands on her cheeks at this point. It's like, she's just like, don't I look cute as a button? We're back in the studio, and Annie's like, before we dive in, is there anything you want to say to Ariana or the group at large? And this is just an amazing first moment. Sandoval starts crying. He's like, I just like the performance is happening. He's like really building it. He's like, oh, I want to thank everybody for being. And James like, pull yourself together, man. Pull yourself together, man. This isn't a fucking Oscar. And Ariana's like, you're not a victim. And Sandoval's like, I'm not a victim. And Ariana's like, knock it off. Your sad sack act is fucking bullshit. You're not at the Academy Awards, Sandoval. And Ariana's like, knock it off. And he's like, okay, well, let him speak. And yeah. And he starts to cry again. And James makes a whining, I just want to say, and Lisa's like, James, stop it. And then he's like, here's the deal. Be a man, mate. Pull yourself together. Crocodile tears, pussy. By the way, I do want that on my refrigerator every time I open it to have a snack. Be a man, mate. Pull yourself together, you fat fuck. Crocodile tears, pussy. Shut the fridge door. And he's like, okay, let him speak. And Sandra's like, I just want to say, I appreciate everybody for being there for Ariana. What a dick. You guys are all great people. Thank you for making her dumpling lattes when I can't do. Is Ariana surviving without her dumpling lattes? But by the way, that's where the 5 pounds probably went. It wasn't nerves. He was probably like over sugaring her lattes every day. Ariana rolls her eyes. It's like, what a dick. He's like, I wish I could take care of her, but I guess it's up to you guys now. He's like, no matter what was going on in our relationship, she didn't deserve it. Nobody deserves to have that happen. Ariana, who will not look at Sandoval, says, nothing happened, Tom. You did it. And Sandoval's like, I'm sorry for doing the one thing that I said I wouldn't do, which of course is start a cover band. That was the one thing he promised. Oh, dude, I swear to God, I love karaoke, but I'll never do it, dude. The one thing I promise you. No, of course I guess the one thing he said he wouldn't do is cheat with a friend. I don't know. It could, but I think it's the cheating thing. They cut to Raquel watching in the trailer. And Sandoval's like, and I did it in the worst way possible. And, she's just watching, just eating popcorn. Sandoval continues, I love you, and I apologize. James to Lala goes, no, that didn't hit for me. No. And Lala goes, I didn't even listen. You have to admit, Lala and DJ James Kennedy, the Waldorf and Statler, the little Muppets they just are so, and I remember the days when they did this and they were wasted and they were sloppy. And they were dicks, but this is using dicks against evil. This is being dicks against evil at this point. But by the way, this is what happens. These are reactions that happen when you do an action that is bad. You have a reaction. They're not going to take it light on him. Lala says later on, we are not in pre-K. This is Bravo, bitch. Yeah, it's Bravo, bitch. It's me, little Lala. Fuck you. Sandoval continues. But it is interesting because at this point, that's his first tactic, right? Get everybody, get crying, get everybody seeing that he's broken. right? Get some sympathy, some empathy, not only from them, because we always talk about the concept of winning the room, but you can sometimes lose the room, but win the audience. In this point, he's lost both. And I think that's interesting, is this first tactic didn't work. Like he even knows it's not landing. And he says, Ariana, what have the conversations been like between you and Tom? And Ariana's like, well, he is victim blaming 100% of the way. So I don't believe anything that just came out of his mouth. I think he's fucking full of shit and he can fuck off. Lala and Scheana smile at each other. Andy goes, Sandoval, you're still living at the house that you and Ariana own together? And he's like, on and off. Yeah, on and off, dude. Yeah. Ariana rolls her eyes. And he's like, how has that been for you, Ariana? Now, this was an added scene in the supersized Peacock episode. She said, well, it's not been great. We have liaisons and go-betweens who will let me know which, by the way, in the beginning, he refused to let anyone know when he would be coming and going, and he would come and go unannounced, which is such a douchey thing to do, which was very traumatizing, re-traumatizing for me. We see a shot of Sandoval looking insane. He's like, ugh. And then he would come in and yell at everybody who was there to support me. By the way, this is when we needed Scheana's vlogs the most. Scheana's vlogs got so much screen time this season, but these are the vlogs I needed. I needed Sandoval coming in and like, what are you all doing in my fucking house? I need to fucking work out, dude, and touch myself in weird ways in the bathroom. And I guess she says he's finally now agreed to let an assistant know when and where he will be so I can avoid him at all costs. Who is this assistant? By the way, somebody's got to have this name. I'm sure it's out there. Who is this assistant? And is it a guy or a girl? Because they are possibly having the worst year ever. Unless they're one of those sycophants that are like, let's fuck everybody out there, dude. It's me and you, Tom, against the world. But I have to imagine between stocking the pins and the batteries and the paper towels and now doing all of this other like comings and goings, it's got to be a full-time job. I wonder if it is one of the Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras, just like as a side gig for the karaoke band. But also just imagine, put yourself in the situation of that, of like, she's aware of the comings and goings. And she says sometimes she can hear footsteps, but how dark is that? Like my sphincter, oh my God, it would be so upsetting. This person that did this to me. And then to hear them like the door slam that, he's there and just hear little Tom and his little heels, like click, 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 him popping open Diet Squirt. You just hear it from upstairs. I mean, that shit I would not be good with, because she's talked about in interviews of like, he'll be in the gym, I'll be in the room, and I'll say I need the gym by this time. And it's like, it's just weird. And I feel like the overall effect is to potentially upset her. And I wonder in the first if he thought like, maybe I'll stay there and like, hopefully we can build a friendship. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Andy goes, Lala, I know when you and Randall broke up, you got out of the house pretty quickly. Do you think it's healthy for these two to be sharing the house? And Lala goes, no, Sandoval is Randall. Give it 10 years. He is Randall Emmett. It's, and this is where they break to the fan cam, Raquel's fan cam. They break to the trailer and, Lala goes, absolutely terrifying. And Raquel rolls her eyes like, okay, Lala. And Lala goes, I couldn't get Randall to stay home. And then when shit hit the fan, I couldn't get him the fuck out of the house. And Ariana goes, there you go. And Lala goes, that is a fucking narcissist. Everyone needs to be warned about this person. Like, this is a dangerous human being. Now, before we get to Lisa's line, I want to talk about this because I've argued with somebody about this or talked about this. Okay. Is Sandoval on par with Randall? Not, I mean, it's not apples and oranges. It's in the same world, but I do think it's interesting. We, Randall is much more involved, the psychopathy, and Tom seems to be a habitual cheater and liar. But is there more? Is there a deeper, darker thing? Is this even fair to say? Because Lisa immediately has, but there is something there of like, it's the type of person, it is obviously the crimes aren't nearly the same. Randall has a lot more crimes, financial and otherwise, to his name, but is it in the same family? What do you guys think? And Lisa's like, Lala, that's actually a ridiculous stance to start saying Sandoval is a dangerous person. And Lala goes, I didn't ask for anyone else's opinion. Boom. This is where Lala shines. And Lisa's like, well, you have my opinion. And Lala goes, well, that's great. I reject it. And she's like, what? And Lala continues, he was sleeping next to her. That was his life partner. If he can do that to her, there's something wrong with this person. And Ariana smiles and shakes her head. Yes. Yes. And a lot of other people have done that before. And they're not dangerous people. And Lala's like, absolutely. I have a baby with one. They are dangerous. And Sandoval's like, Lala, if you're going to judge me, my fucking character. And Lala goes, shut the fuck up. You need to get in line. Shut the fuck up. And Sandoval like, somewhere near the fucking back. And this is where he kind of gets a little angry because he hates Lala. He's always hated Lala. Lisa to Lala goes, calm down to Lala. And Lala's like, I'm not going to calm down. We're here for like 10 hours, for heaven's sakes. You cannot start like this. And Lala goes, I understand. And we're ready to go. Lisa, your time has come potentially. We can go this route for 10 hours. We are ready. We are charged up. I know you're trying to play producer. Let the producers play producer. Let people have their feelings. Don't try to you're not a good referee. You are not the reliable narrator here that can judge. You just aren't. You are not the ringleader here. Andy is in charge of this. This is what I'm saying. It slows it down. Let Tom fight Lala, let Lala say her piece. But it is interesting, the thought of the emotional, the dangerous person comment. Let's talk about danger, right? So we always prioritize physical, I think, over mental, right? So physically, is Tom Sandoval dangerous? I hope not. I don't think he is. But he is dangerous to somebody's heart. He's dangerous to Ariana's heart, right? Potentially he's dangerous to Raquel's heart. He's dangerous to, he's dangerous to somebody's heart. But we always prioritize the physical over the emotional and the mental. It's even with therapy, right? We always will work out. I swear to God, this is not a BetterHelp ad. We'll work out our bodies more than we'll work out in therapy. We run from the mental, but we prioritize the physical. So we immediately attach more thing to dangerous being a physical thing. But why can't danger be the emotional as well? It is. Well, isn't it dangerous to have your heart hurt? It can have really long-lasting effects. And I always just think about that. It's like we kind of shoo it. And Lisa's like, well, everybody does it. Yeah, but maybe moments like this are a teaching lesson for the men out there to not do it. Maybe we need to see that there's real consequences to these things. So they're all saying, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And Tom shakes his head like, oh, dude, I would have never fucked Raquel if I knew it was going to be like this, dude. This is crazy. And Andy's like, okay, Ariana, you talked a lot this year about you and Sandoval not spending a lot of quality time together. Do you think that's what caused the divide in this relationship? And Ariana's like, no, I think he caused the divide in the relationship because he was fucking other people. Total straight face. And it's really beautiful, right? Because that's it exactly. The quality time thing, which Ariana said in the first episode, was he was not spending that time together. But at the end of the day, he could have chosen to spend that time. It's the same thing with Schwartz. It's where they chose to spend their time. And then as things further progress, he chose to spend his time more and more away from her because he wanted to spend it with Raquel. Even his business has suffered because of this. Because of the hanging out with Raquel. They couldn't even open on time. You're not going to tell me that part of that wasn't due to these other relationships that he was prioritizing over his business. I just thought of how ridiculous this job is, you guys. I'm literally an hour and 40 minutes in. I'm like, dude, I'm going to tell you. And it's really wild. Isn't this crazy? Look at where we're all at. We did it. We're almost through the end of the season. And isn't this wild that we take it this seriously? But isn't there something cool about it? I'm not ashamed of it. I'm sometimes ashamed. I'm not going to lie, but not now. Proud of it now. But Ariana's like, yeah, he caused the divide because he was fucking other people. That does tend to, I'm not a scientist, but it does sometimes put a crimp in relationships. It turns out when you fuck somebody that's not in the actual relationship, it will at times cause anger and cause strong feelings. Lisa goes, others people is very different to Raquel. Other people is very different to Raquel. And Ariana's like, well, he's fucked more than Raquel. We flash back to the last scene in the season finale between Scheana and Sandoval. And Sheena's like, so other than Miami Girl, this is the first time you ever cheated on Ariana? And he's like, there was one other time. And she's like, you're sick. And Ariana goes, that fucking fucker, which sounds so beautiful on Peacock, is at fault because he's the one that made those choices. And he's like, Sandoval, what do you think caused the demise of your relationship? Sandoval should have just been like, The sex thing, the cheating thing. I think the Raquel cheating thing. Instead, he's like, that's a great question, Andy. Well, I think that just slowly over time, our communication, our connection, if you will, just slowly just kind of dissipated. Did you tell Ariana, by the way? I feel like he's like, okay, slowly over time dissipated, but I have a feeling he'd potentially never let Ariana know. And Andy goes, had he discussed those things with you at any point? And Ariana goes, I mean, over time, of course, it's not like we were not together for 9 years and never had conversations. So yeah. And then we get to a never before seen clip in the supersize. And Andy goes, we saw a couple of conversations that you and Tom had in that last episode. And, and Ariana goes, after he was fucking other people. And Andy's like, of the season and before we knew, and Ariana's before I knew he was fucking other people. Yeah. So what the point she's trying to make of those conversations don't mean shit because I didn't know he was fucking other people. That colors and tempers the whole thing. And Andy goes, Tom told you that he felt like his presence annoyed you, that you belittle him in front of other people, that you enjoy hanging out with your other friends other than him. Had he expressed those things with you at any point? And Ariana goes, the night before that when he was screaming at me for 45 minutes straight off camera. Yeah. She's talking about the night that so cameras went up on Friday back up when they had that conversation. But the night before, I guess he was screaming at her for 45 minutes and finally telling her all this stuff, which is like, Ariana, damn, dude, you should have put a Lisa Rinna and audio tape that shit. Are you kidding me? You know what? Part of me does wonder if there is any kind of footage like that. If Ariana, she's a smart girl, a smart lady, sorry, a smart woman, is there any kind of footage? Does she have anything? She probably did tape him at some point, right? She probably did. And he goes, Ariana, Tom has said that you hadn't been intimate for years. Sorry. Tom said that you hadn't been intimate in years, that you were kind of glorified roommates. And Ariana goes, that's not true. We have been intimate. Also, having intimate, which by the way, on the Call Her Daddy podcast, we found out they were intimate in January. Also, having intimacy issues does not excuse literally any fucking thing. You work on it or you break up. So going through the fucking ins and outs of our relationship is fucking pointless. She's right. James is like, it's pointless. Guys night. James jumps in there. It's pointless, Andy. Come on. It is pointless, though, because it's all based on a lie. We would be arguing about ins and outs that he's now trying to backtrack to try to, come up with the reason why he cheated. But it was all based on lies. Ariana goes, it's victim blaming is what it is. And Schwartz is like, we're all in agreement. And James is like, especially with his friend's ex. And Schwartz is like, there's zero justification for this. And Ariana goes, but then why are we going through this? And Schwartz is like, but we're here because we're doing a reunion. It's like therapy. No, Tom Schwartz, it isn't like therapy. Do you know what is like therapy? Therapy. Tom, this is Tom's problem. And earlier in the season, when he's like, they told me I should go to therapy, but Schwartz and Sandy's is kind of my therapy. Dude, that is the worst fucking therapy that you've ever had in your life. Honestly, that is not good. And Yelp says it's not good as well. Are you kidding me? Which, by the way, I'll talk about that in part 2. It is just the stupidest comment you could ever make. Tom, I swear to God, you're going to be knocked off your coal mining ass when you actually try therapy. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to be scared of it, but do it, Tom. I swear to God, you're going to be like, are you kidding me? Oh my God, reunions are nothing like therapy. That's crazy. Ariana says, it's not like therapy. And Andy goes, I'm trying to get into the state of your relationship. And Ariana's like, that's fine. But our relationship is this. So, and Andy's like, okay. Did the rest of the, and he's like, dude, Tom, I see where you cheated on her. What a ball buster. Okay. And he's like, okay, did the rest of the group sense there were significant issues in the relationship? Schwartz did. Scheana, did you? And Sheena's like, not until more recently when Lala had a conversation with me saying she really thought there was something going on between him and Raquel. And after that, I sat down with Ariana, and from the sounds of it, everything was great. They had been very intimate that month. So that's what it's saying. So this conversation happened after filming. Ariana then, Scheana talked to Ariana, and Ariana said, great, they had actually been intimate, which they cut again to the Raquel fan cam, and you could tell she's having her unhappy face, like, what, they were intimate? Which is like crazy when the guy you cheated with, actually you find out that he's a liar, even though you knew he was a liar. Like, I love it. She's like, what? Raw dog Sandoval. Woo! And Scheana's like, their communication was better and they were in a very good place. But I love that reaction of like, wait a second, that's not what Tom said to me. If he's a liar, I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Andy goes, that conversation, Lala, happened after filming had wrapped. And Scheana's like, yeah, it was January. And he's like, Sandoval, once you started your relationship with Raquel, why not come clean to Ariana? And James is like, and to your friends, do you remember who I am, Tom? And Sandoval's like, yeah, you're James motherfucking Kennedy. What is that to you? And he's like, okay, I think Ariana is a little more important. And Ariana's like, but still, they were like brothers. And Sandoval's like, we were like brothers? I talk to you once a month, dude. And Lala's like, let's not forget, Raquel was his fiance. And James is like, wow. You can tell he's emotional. And Scheana's like, Rachella, you guys. Rachella, are you kidding me? And Lala's like, yeah, you paid for half the engagement. Dude, what are you talking about, Tom? And Sandoval's like, I know. We get a flashback to all those scenes of him paying, blah, blah, blah. And James is like, you've been a big bro, dude. And like, that's what you called me. Yes, bro. That is what you called me. No, I did not, dude. And James stands up. Just goes to show how much of a friend you never were. You've always been an opportunist. Shot of Raquel with her hand on her head, like, and then Sandoval's like, opportunist? You fucked Kristen to get on the show. James, moving across the room, is like, when I was 21. So I do want to point out, earlier, I wanted to come back to this moment in the preview of the overall reunion. We have that moment where, you know, Raquel's like, you guys fucked when you were with me. And Lala goes, we weren't best friends, ho. And DJ James Kennedy's like, I was 25. And in this moment, he's like, I was 21. It is funny that there keeps being cheating moments for DJ James Kennedy where he's like, I was young. At what point are you young anymore? Are we going to hear like, I was 33? Are you kidding me? But I love that in DJ James Kennedy's mind, he's like, I can cheat up until 25 and then it's very bad. Very bad, and I won't do it at all. So James is like, 5 days after I broke up. Oh, sorry. So also this, you fucked Kristen to get on the show. I want to ask Kristen about this. And I want to ask DJ James Kennedy about this. Did you fuck her to get on the show? Like, everybody's an opportunist. I remember one of the first times I saw DJ James Kennedy on the show. He's like this scrawny little busboy. He looks like Beavis from like, shut up, Beavis. He looks like he has this big head and a tiny body. It is so funny to go back and look for DJ James Kennedy in those earlier episodes because he's there. But he worked his way in there, man. He's a charming guy. So I don't know if that is true. I would like to hear more about that. James, like, when I was 21, and Sandoval was like, 5 days after I broke up, you used my condoms. Which then, now I'm thinking, like, back then, Sandoval used condoms, which is, that's what I hope he's still doing. Andy trying to hold James, who is up now. It's like, go back. James moving closer to Sandoval. I was 21 years old. And James again, I was 21 years old. And Sandoval's like, get out of my face, dude. They cut to the girl in the trailer, Raquel, who looks scared. Like, I hate scary movies. Andy holds James back. Sit down. Lisa's like, go back there. Raquel is in the trailer, scrunches her face like, oh no. James is like, you're a 42-year-old man. James is right in his face again. Andy pushes James back into his seat, and James is like, you're a 42-year-old. You're 42 years old. Raquel says, oh no. And she's kind of smiling. A producer walks James to his seat. Andy throws his hands up because he's lost his cards. Like, my cards. And Lisa's like, James. And Sandoval's like, I stood up for you, dude. We were talking like every day. We were supposed to move in together. And Lisa's like, boys, naughty boys. And James is like, I don't want you to stand up for me. You're a pussy ass bitch. And he gathers his cards scattered on the floor. The real victim here, Andrew Cohen. Sandoval's like, when nobody else would, I stood up for you. You're a clown, Tom. Sandoval's like, I think you're a clown, dude. And James is like, and you know what? Your band sucks stick. You're a nothing. You're a nobody. You're a loser. And your bar is going down the drain. You backstabbing hoe. Ariana to Andy goes, sorry about your cards. And Andy goes, James. Sandra's like, get in my face again. I'll fuck you up, motherfucker. And this is pure steroids talking. I'm probably on both sides. And James like, come on, I'll do it right now, bitch. James races over towards Sandoval. Andy jumps up to get in between. Sandoval stands up. Lisa stands up. James ripping off his fitted jacket as Andy shoves James back to his seat. Look at me. I'll do it so quickly. Look at me, bro. I'm way more ready. Which I almost heard is like, I'm more ripped than you, bro. And Lala goes, James, you're shaking, James. And Andy's like, James, just sit down. Security is on the set right behind Andy. And James is like, I will beat his ass. And Andy's like, listen to me, James. Listen to me. Stay in the fucking chair. He's the one who said it first, Andy. Andy goes, stay in the chair. That's all you have to do. James gets up. I'm going to go to the restroom. I'm going to take a shit. No, he's just like, I'm going to go to the restroom. And he pops off. And Andy's like, okay, go pee, but stay in your chair, dude. Honestly, you're a pussy-ass bitch. James walking off the stage, turns around, iconically screams, you're a worm with a mustache. Andy goes, okay. I wonder if in those moments, Andy can hear the t-shirt selling. If Andy's like, damn, that's a good line. I wonder if all of them on stage, like Lala's like, fuck, that's up there with Send It to Daryl. What? Oh, damn it. And then James is like, you're a fucking worm. And Sandoval yells, you've had the same haircut for 9 fucking years. And James is like, yeah, and it works for me, bro. Which is so funny that Sandoval's like, I'm going to attack him where it hurts, the hair. Sandoval changes his hair every season. Like I said, it's his eras. And I like that you're like, that's what Sandoval looks at. Like, I never have looked at DJ James Kennedy. I swear to God, there's never been a moment where I've like, that dude's had the same haircut for 9 years. What an asshole. I've never even thought about DJ James Kennedy's hair, except that he sometimes lacquers it up like a Jersey Shore guy. But I kind of think it works. He's very chiseled and it kind of fits angular wise. But this, I love that in Sandoval's head is like, dude, I'm going to let it rip, dude. You've had the same haircut, dude. 9 years running. So James is out to go pee, and Sandoval's like, James pees on a fire hydrant like a dog, and that's his fire hydrant, which also just shows the mentality of Tom. Like, are we saying that Raquel is the fire hydrant? Is that what we're peeing on here? Like, what Raquel to Sandoval's like, dude, I'll pee on that fire hydrant now, dude. In fact, I have incorporated water sports into our lovemaking as of now. I do like this once again, Tom thinking an artist is his hair. And in a sense, that it is like Tom has worked from the look, like it's almost like he co-ops like certain like David Bowie-isms in terms of looks and thinks that will eventually help the talent. It's a weird way of working backwards. Usually people will start with the talent first and then let that inform the look. But Tom works backwards in a lot of ways, we've discovered. Lala like, Sandoval, we've all fucked up, right? And Sandoval's like, I get that. So I get that. And Ariana to Tom goes, shh. Lala goes, stop bringing things up from 500 years ago. This was your life partner, not a Kristen Doute. Kristen Doute somewhere at home going, dude, what? Sandoval's like, what does that have to do with DJ James Kennedy? Not living in a shithole, serving tables. Sandoval goes, what does that have to do with? Because you keep bringing up that he fucked Kristen. And Katie's like, because he was young then. And Lala goes, we live in the now. And Ariana mutters, try to grasp the point. And Lala goes, she wasn't going to be his wife. This was going to be your life partner. You done fucked up. Stop pulling out the history books. And Katie goes, the stakes are higher. Keep up. And Andy goes, okay, Sandoval, once you started your relationship with Raquel, why not come clean to Ariana right then? Sandoval, guess what? Does a heavy sigh. First and foremost, we see a producer warn James offset. I think this is Jeremiah. He's like, use your words, not your fists. James, Tatonka. Yeah, James is like, what's in here, buddy? Use your heart, not your fists. I love the way it's so funny to me. James is like, tell him he can't beat my ass. I can beat his ass. Which seems like he really did listen to what the producer said. That is in my heart. Beating up that worm with a mustache, kicking his scrawny little ass with my big DJ arms. I don't spin records. I do spin records, but I also spin his gnarly little buttocks when I'm punching him everywhere with my big, strong arms. I'm DJ James Kennedy. I'm here to beat Tom Sandoval's ass. I know what it's like, and I'm gonna have him touch grass. He fucked Raquel. Used to be my fiance, but I don't care. What I care about is he said he was my bro, but now I find out he's just trying to fuck my hoes. I'm DJ James Kennedy. This guy's an ass. I looked up to him, and now he's making me cry, and I don't know why, but his mustache makes me cry, and I think he's a dick. And I know he's a dick, and I'm gonna put my fist up his fucking ass. Oh, thank you guys. I'm sorry. Please don't send anybody to check on me. I'm good. I'm good. We cut to the trailer. Raquel's like, I want to hear him answer the question, and she laughs. She laughs. This is like the ultimate, like, rest in peace, Jerry Springer. But this is the ultimate of, like, you know, you always saw the Jerry Springer cam in the back, you know, we're like, we're about to bring him out in 1 second, and he's seen everything that you said today. And they're just like, you know, Raquel's just the Raquel. In fact, Peacock, if you're listening, Peacock, may I pitch also this? We leave the Raquel fan cam out the entire episode. I don't want cutaways. I want her in a tiny box. Maritza, if you're listening to this, can we make a meme where we put the Raquel fan cam in just like the bottom left-hand corner of all? I want a Raquel fan cam in everything. I wanted it at the coronation of the king most recently. I wanted at the upcoming debates for the next presidential. I want a Raquel fan cam everywhere. And he's like, James, just do me a favor. And James walks to his seat. He's like, yes, I'll be quiet to Tweedledee and Tweedle Dick. Schwartz points to himself and whispers to Katie, I'm Tweedledee. Schwartz, not the time. Katie rolls her eyes. At some time, you can just tell Katie the cringe factor is growing in terms of Schwartz. And he goes, you can say whatever you want. Just say it in your seat, okay? Right. Ugly fuck. And then he goes, did you just call me an ugly fuck? No, you're handsome. And then he goes, thank you. You're very attractive, Andy. He's the ugly little fucking. And then he goes, okay, stay in your fucking seat, okay? Or you'll be in your dressing room. You won't be on stage. James is like, send me for a time out. And Kate, Ariana, and Scheana crack up. I'll get a spank bottom, Andy, at lunchtime. Lisa, I get a spank bottom, all right? Lala cracks up now, too. Andy's even smiling. The charm oozes off this man. Use it. Yeah, you got that. I love when my iWatch just, or my Apple, whatever the fuck. Lala goes, he likes it, the spank bottom. And Lisa goes, he probably does. I like Lisa. He's a very naughty boy. Nicolaine, can we put some steampunk on him and stretch it? Sorry. Andy goes, okay, I'm just going to get back to this question. I keep trying to ask, Sandoval, why not come clean with Ariana? And Lisa's like, yes, exactly. That is the $1 million question. Shut up, Lisa. He asked the question. We don't need your, like, good question, Andy. So why not come clean with Ariana? And this is the question that Raquel wanted to know the answer to. And Sandoval's like, I was obviously scared too, dude. I think also she was going through a lot during that time. And I didn't want to add anything to anything. Ariana makes this sarcastic face. This is a never before seen clip that was in the supersize. And he's like, and by the way, this is something that I wish had made the actual broadcast. Because Andy's like, what do you think you would have told her if she hadn't have discovered it when she did? And Tom's like, I actually had a therapy session with my therapist, which is always, that's a good sign when your therapy session is with your actual therapist. It's like, yeah, okay. And we planned on the following Tuesday because we would have fully wrapped interviews and she wouldn't have to go in those interviews and be like, oh, you know, the sandwich shop is going good. Like, okay. So she's saying that. And by the way, guys, it's so funny. Last week it wasn't funny. I am talking so much that I am always completely stuffed up in my nose. I've been like that my entire life. So when you talk a lot, how it happens is like, you'll just get this, you get stuffed up really easily and you have to like take in sniffs, you know, you're like, and I know that can be sometimes annoying for you guys. In fact, one lady, this poor lady DM'd me. It was like, I'm done. You need to take care of yourself with a sniff. And like, I just can't anymore. And she's like, I'm out. And you checked early. Like I went back in the DMs earlier and it was like a random DM I opened. I didn't know this person. And you saw her like a couple months ago going, oh my God, I love you. I think everything you do is great. And then it ends with like, I can't take it anymore. You're horrible. I'm out. I'm like, wow. It's like, you're a hero one moment and yet you're hated down here. And I always tell people when they send me nice things, I'm like, you'll eventually hate me. You're going to eventually dislike me. But that lady hopefully is not listening anymore. And I'm apologizing, but I can't stop once I start. So it's in the way anyways, I don't know. Anyways, I just realized that I gulped. So I wanted to explain. This would have been great, Tom. He says he gallantly went together with his therapist. And I like that his therapist was like, Tom, did you bring your breakup calendar? Okay, can we do it this day? Oh, dude, no, Game of Thrones is on that day. That's like a big thing. I'm like rewatching season 1. So okay, I can't do it that day. Wednesday, I can't do it because I'm lying to Ariana about going out with Raquel that night. So that's a no-go on that one. Now, Friday I could, but then the weekend, dude, I think we're going to have a lot of people over at the house for a pool party. Let's see though. But like, I love that it was like, we decided on the next Tuesday. Tom, can we get your therapist on the line? This is what we need, your therapist and your assistant. Bang up job, you guys. And also I love that it's like, he was planning on doing it the Tuesday after they finished, because they'd already finished shooting, right? What he's talking about is filming the Talking Heads, because they filmed Talking Heads throughout the season. So they were still filming that part of it. So the wrap that they talk about, the wrapping production, is the September wrap of the actual footage of the storyline. Then they'll bring them in throughout the season to do Talking Heads multiple times, not every week, but multiple times. They'll, do a bunch of different episodes, have them like, Tom, what did you think about this? And like, I thought it was pretty cool. So he was saying that he was doing it so she didn't have to go in another one of these Talking Heads in the reunion. But I was like, Tom, you didn't have the foresight to realize that you would have really fucked production on a whole nother way, because you had been doing this for so long. So you were going to also remember, according to Howie, she was going to just break up with her. Wasn't going to tell her about with Raquel. So it was still going to be a lie on top of a lie. So he was like, he wasn't going to tell her about Raquel. He was just going to break up with her. You're not going to convince me otherwise. He wasn't going to do the Raquel part of it. He was just trying to break up with her. It's insane. It's really insane. And it's like, Schwartz, $1 million question. When did Sandoval tell you that he and Raquel hooked up? And Schwartz, in his what feels like a very rehearsed answer, is like, so starting in July, he had been coming to, how did I say this? I planned this in the mirror. Okay, he had been coming to me, confiding in me, telling me he's not happy. He doesn't feel heard or fulfilled. He feels belittled, all this shit. Anyways, around that time, I remember after the guys' night, we went to the Mondrian. On the next day, you confided in me, that you confided in Raquel. A lot of confided. They were using the confided word a lot. You confided in me, that you confided in Raquel, that you confided with your feelings to both of us. So Raquel, and pretty much told her everything you had been telling me. And you guys had kind of like an intimate moment. And so he's trying to say that he confided in Schwartz, that he confided in Raquel. So it's like really kind of hazy here. And Ariana's like, when Charlotte's body wasn't even fucking cold, by the way, her dog that passed away that week. We get a flashback to that scene in Vegas where she has to leave because of her dog, Charlotte. And George is like, I didn't know that in the moment about your dog. So Tom just told me that. Yeah. And he felt like she was a safe place and confided in her. But the way he says this is so choppy too. He's not happy. He doesn't feel heard or fulfilled. He feels belittled. That is like that's like a narcissist special there. Like, this is like a very sad sack bullshit answer to get somebody to feel bad for them. And I feel like Schwartz has potentially used this in the past as well. Katie's like, by confiding in her, you mean he put his penis in her? And Schwartz is like, a little weird. You guys, I'm telling you everything. Do what you want with it. And Katie's like, Tom, I like it's like a mother. It's like, Tom, if you want ice cream for dessert, you need to tell us when the bad man put his penis in the bad girl. And he's like, Tom, when did you find out they're fucking, dude? Get to it. And Schwartz like, okay. So it was like, whatever, like late August, I met up with Tom and he broke it down for me. He told me, and Santa was like, late August? Yeah, you told me late August after Scheana's wedding. What? Sandoval goes, and Schwartz like, that's what you told me. And Lala goes, oh, did you guys not put your timelines together to match? And Ariana laughs, and James Kennedy's like, right. Oh. And Schwartz is like, that's what he told me. Everyone laughs. We get a flashback. Great editor troll here. Andy's one-on-one with Sandoval. And Andy goes, when did you tell Schwartz that you and Raquel had hooked up? And Sandoval very seriously goes, I would say probably mid, great question, Andy, late January. So right here, boom, lie, busted up. Schwartz, whether that on purpose or deliberately or not, busted in the lie. So late August, I was looking back on a calendar today because I was like, oh, maybe August comes right after January, or August is in right before January. And according to this calendar, it was like a Mayan calendar, December comes right before January. And then this is fun. What happens after January? It's February. Turns out August is one of those summer months, and that's like way far away from those other months. So this has been going on a long time. And Ariana goes, I know you got to coach the fucking rat all day yesterday, but you didn't get to coach this one. Busted. We get a trailer cut to Raquel leaning back and letting out a long breath of like, oh, yikes. Schwartz says, well, no, because I went through my phone and I checked out my phone. By this point, production, why didn't you run in and grab Schwartz's phone of like, we've got a code 11 on set. Alpha, Bravo, Alpha, grab the phone. And he's like, in Mexico, when you kiss Raquel, you did not know about Sandoval? I did not know. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, there's a moment in one of the later episodes where you're outside with Sandoval and you say to him, we cut to that episode in front of the Yeasty Boys food truck. And he's like, I have this gut feeling, Sandoval, that she kind of has a crush on someone else. And Sandoval, with his big old fucking Terminator half-faced glasses, he's like, yeah, dude, crazy, man. Who could you mean? It's like so on the nose. And Andy goes, were you talking about Sandoval? And Schwartz pauses for a moment to think. Honestly, Andy? He goes, honestly, yeah. And Andy goes, you were? Subconsciously, whatever. Listen, you guys, I'm not a fucking idiot. And Lisa, we get a cut of Lisa bobs her head, kind of like, okay. And George's like, you told me that day. I think it was the 31st because, I know we got drunk in your hot tub afterwards. I love that Schwartz measures time in when he gets drunk in Sandoval's jacuzzi. Did you know Sandoval was in the jacuzzi with Raquel? No. And Schwartz is like, yeah, he's like, I had a one night stand with Raquel, and it was like, holy shit, what have I done? Never again, mistake, alcohol, the whole spiel people do when they have a one night stand. By the way, I don't think I've ever had that spiel. I love that Schwartz is like, that old song and dance. I've done it many times, my brother. Katie rolls her eyes again in disgust. Schwartz continues, and after that, things kind of went back to normal, I would say. Ariana rolls her eyes to like that. And Scheana's like, was this conversation before the glamping trip? He told you before we went glamping? And Schwartz is like, yeah. We get a flashback to that glamping scene at dinner where Schwartz is like, Raquel has a type. And Brock's like, what's that type, mate? And Schwartz is like, men that are taken. And Ariana, Scheana, Brock, and especially Sandoval laughs. That's when Sandoval was laughing way too hard to be like, oh my God, that's so funny and not true at all. I definitely have never been in any kind of situation with Raquel. Schwartz, you are so funny. Oh my God, I can't tell my God. Yeah, this guy, Dave Chappelle over here. Oh my God, I can't with you. Laughing from my diaphragm. And George is like, without a doubt about it, throughout the fall leading up to the new year, they spent an inappropriate amount of time. Sorry. They spent an inappropriate amount of time together. Fuck yeah. He goes, fuck yeah, they did. I like, just like thinking back on it, they really did spend way too long together. It was sick, really. We cut to the trailer girl, Raquel, trailer trash, and she's watching the TV with a weird smile on her face when Andy says when you two had already had sex. So Sandoval goes, Sandoval, why are you encouraging Schwartz to make out with Raquel when you two had already had sex? And Raquel just has this really weird, like, we're back in the studio and Sandoval goes, because, and Andy goes, was that a decoy or a smoke screen? And Sandoval goes, absolutely not, dude. When that happened, I've been saying it with like That can never happen again. And Schwartz, oh no. Lisa's like, yes, but it's perverse to encourage your best friend to make out with somebody you just slept with in the lane. And Sandoval's like, I don't think so. And Katie's like, I think it was a great excuse for Sandoval and Raquel to hide what they were doing because it's like, don't look over here, look over here. Right? This is a scene that was in the Peacock one. And he goes, you say there are similarities with how Tom acted with Ariana back when he was dating Kristen. What are those similarities? And Lala goes, well, I just felt that he was talking about Raquel. The way he was talking about Raquel, it was very similar to the way he would talk about Doute. And Sandoval's like, you didn't even know it then, dude. And Lala goes, it's called television. And I watched it. That is weird when that comes to bite you in the ass when you've done a reality show. And Sandoval's like, yeah, okay, then you don't know us, not the real us. And Lisa's like, yes, that's different. Be quiet, Lisa. Ariana goes, okay, well, I did. And I see a lot of parallels to the way Tom treated Kristen and me. Because Tom thought at first I was very cool. And Tom's like, yeah. And Ariana goes, I had no responsibilities back in the day. I could stay up all night. You know, I would bartend at night and then be like, oh, me and Schwartz and Tom are going to go do mushrooms together because we're all just a bunch of great friends and we're all cool and chill and all these things when we started dating. The question I have is when Jax and Kristen, you know, with that whole situation, when that stuff came out about them, why didn't you guys break? I would always ask Tom, why didn't you guys break up then? When why didn't you guys break up then? And he would always say something to me about along the lines of, well, her grandpa just died and we had tickets to this, so I couldn't do it then. And Ariana's like, and now it's kind of funny. A lot of the same things are being said and done. And I think that is such a great, and I'm sorry, I butchered the lines a little bit there, but it's dead on the money is that he was doing the same shit. He was the same thing with Ariana. I couldn't do it. Her grandma died. Her dog died. Life is beautiful. Coachella, blah, 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 blah. But he was doing the same shit with Kristen because Ariana even asked him, well, why didn't you do this? And he would explain to her. But remember, when you're in love with somebody, you are more apt to want to see their side of it. You just are. And it is interesting that these moments stick out to Ariana now. Because we always just see our gut feels these red flags, right? But we push them way down. So it's really interesting. We cut to an actual flashback of Kristen Doute. Yes, Kristen Doute was in last night's episode. You just didn't see her on Bravo. It's on Peacock. And it was in 2013, this clip. And Kristen's like, we weren't happy. We were acting like roommates. And we also hadn't had sex in 3 months. And Tom's like, you cringe every time I try to hug you. And Kristen's like, but I didn't go and fuck someone behind your back. I think it was like a very similar conversation. And we cut to 3 weeks ago, this conversation between Ariana and Tom. And Tom's like, the relationship wasn't the same, Ariana. I hated how he was saying her name. He was like, I'm going to talk to you like you're slow, Ariana. And Ariana's like, that's why you go to couples therapy together. We could have, And he's like, yeah, but we were separated all the time. You went your way and I would go mine. It's like we lost all intimacy, Funny though, when you went separate ways, Ariana stayed home and you went out and partied and fucked Raquel. And she makes that point. She's like, okay, so fuck my friend. I lost my mojo, Ariana. Okay, then get your mojo back. Fuck my friend. This Mojo, the cheesiest. I said it last week. Mojo I hadn't heard from since Austin Powers. And I was like, Mojo can never make a comeback again. Like, you've ruined any kind of Austin Powers sequel, like a comeback for Austin Powers. Mike Myers is like, fuck, I can't do it. Mojo is a hated word again. I can't come back. So Andy goes, Sandoval, you've been saying that you started cheating on Ariana because of how bad things were in the relationship, but Miami Girl was so early in your relationship. Ariana smiles. We flash back to Miami Girl confronting Sandoval at the bar in 2014, and Miami Girl's like, we had sex. We did not. We had sex. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. You're such a fucking liar. No, we didn't. Shut the fuck up because you're lying. You shut the fuck up. And Ariana's like, okay, no one tells my boyfriend to shut the fuck up. And Andy goes, how do you explain that? And Sandoval's like, oh no, I just hadn't really felt single in like 5 years. So I just kind of wanted to feel like before getting real serious what that was like. Which I guess, by the way, to Tom, feeling single means one night stands and, lying about it and potentially butt sex. Andy goes, Ariana, you knew about Miami Girl? And Ariana goes, mm-hmm. We get a flashback to Andy's one-on-one with Ariana, and Andy goes, are there any other infidelities you knew about in the past? And Ariana's like, Miami Girl. We cut back to the reunion. Andy goes, why were you willing to forgive Tom for this? And Ariana's like, well, we were not really exclusive at the time. And I saw the rest of my life with this person, and I wanted everyone to see the best in him because that's what I saw in him. It is this weird mothering, nurturing thing, right? Like that makes complete sense. And Sandoval goes, well, during that time, I mean, Kristen was on and Katie goes, no one cares about 8 years ago. Like it's once again, dipshit. We're not talking about Kristen. And Ariana goes, get over it. Jim's like, no one gives a flying fuck about 8 years ago, you loser. And Sandoval's like, then why are you bringing it up? And Ariana goes, he's asking about me and you, not Kristen. Kristen was on a rampage. And Lala goes, that was 8 years ago. And that's why you're bringing it up because you're the same person. And James is like, you're 42 years old. Guys, all right. Sandoval goes, we were also not best friends when we started dating. Ariana goes, we already went over that. And Andy goes, all right. And Lala goes, okay. So when you're not that serious, you don't fuck the best friend? When you're in a committed relationship, life partners, then we fuck the best friend. And Ariana laughs and goes, yep, there you go. It's a great point by Lala. Because this is another defense that really doesn't hold any water. He was in a deeper, he's trying to fight oh, Kristen was nothing like us. We were best friends, so much deeper with us. And it was okay, so you're saying it was deeper with you guys and then you fucked the best friend? That's so dark. We come back from commercial break and he's like, we're back with a season 10 Vanderpump reunion. This season, Peter was pretty crazy running. No, it would be great if all of a sudden they were like, Peter, what is your favorite shot to make? No, Andy goes, it's easy to forget that before Sandoval and Raquel's affair, this group was dealing with 3 seismic breakups. Lala and Randall, James and Raquel. They cut to trailer girl, Raquel, watching in the trailer. She's sitting crisscross applesauce. She's like, hey. And Katie and Schwartz. Katie, I'm going to start with you. After 12 years being with Schwartz, what was it that made you realize it was the end of the road for you? Katie goes, well, stepping outside of my life for a moment and realizing that I wasn't happy. And he prioritized literally everyone else over me. And Schwartz like, oh, by necessity in the moment, oh, I'll let you talk. I'm sorry. Oh, and Katie's like, no, I didn't think it was the necessity in the moment. It was the bar. Yeah. And Katie's like, friends, partying, strangers in the room. It was everything else. And so I just realized I had to make a choice I didn't want to have to make. And Andy goes, did Katie asking for a divorce surprise you? Andy, I can't say I was completely caught off guard. The intimacy had been dwindling. I started putting candy on the bed, like in Mexico. No, he goes, but for me personally, it was the most intense moment of my life. And this is, he talks about some real things. He's like almost losing his father. His brother had cancer. He was running out of money. And I guess he was said he was fucking in it. But that being said, I would never expect her to put those feelings on hold and stay with me out of pity. Even though you essentially are trying to get pity here. It feels like a tactic. So it is interesting though, because Tom hung on to a relationship while he was having a full-blown relationship because he had concert tickets. Tom, but Schwartz is, you know what I'm saying? Katie made a hard decision. I'm sure her and Schwartz had concert tickets somewhere. Katie still prioritized telling the truth to Tom about her feelings. Tom did not prioritize that. Tom prioritized himself and the things that he did before Ariana's feelings and his own needs. Because essentially, Tom is trying to make the argument that his needs were not met. So he should have gotten out of that relationship. But instead, he kept up this lie, right? Andy to Lisa says, well, Lisa, you married them. We get a flashback to their 2016 wedding where you're like, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Well, how did you feel, Lisa, when they're splitting up? And Lisa's like, very sad. I hope they would find their way through this. But listen, I understand after 40 years of marriage that life is very complicated. And I was just hopeful. Nigga Lane, I love you, Nigga Lane. And Andy's like, I would like to hear from the rest of the group. Anyone else hopeful that they could work it out, Scheana? And Sheena's like, well, I mean, I think you're always hopeful it'll work out. You don't get married to get divorced. Very true. I had seen some stuff on Instagram and I DM'd Katie because I don't ever believe what I see on Instagram. And she said that it was actually happening and that in that combo, she, it felt like it had been a great weight lifted off of her. And I was happy for her. In that moment, she deserved better. And I do want to remind, I believe this is the conversations that they were arguing about, or starting the conversations they were arguing about at the beginning of the season, when then Scheana used the information that Katie told her about making out with somebody in Vegas potentially against her and try to push Raquel onto Schwartz. So this is the DNA of a lot of this. Katie actually confided in Scheana at this point, and Scheana potentially used that information against her. So Sheena's like, well, Katie deserved better. And at this point, Schwartz leans over to Scheana and goes, better than this? And Scheana just looks at him and goes, yeah. And Schwartz seems shocked. So weird. Ariana says, I was truly shocked, but at the same time, when you're telling your friends, it's real. And Andy goes, Katie, you and Tom had an agreement that you wouldn't hook up with anybody in the friend group. Why was that important to you? And Katie's like, well, we went from being, husband and wife and directly to being friends. But, I think that's a very difficult thing to do right away. So for my own comfortability level, that's something I just needed. Isn't that weird when people have needs and they ask for what they need instead of just not saying it? Sounds pretty manipulative to me. Schwartz is like, it was perfectly reasonable. However, just for the record, had she fallen for someone else in the group, I would have not cared at all. It seemed a little rich, knowing that while we're still living together, you were hooking up and having sex with people. First off, this is just riddled with inaccuracies. It was perfectly reasonable. You say that, but you don't mean it. You didn't think it was reasonable because you went and did it. If it was reasonable, you wouldn't have done it. And just for the record, this weird thing about her hooking up with different people in the group is so disturbing. Why do you keep fucking putting that out there? Creepy, dude. You should have a little bit of a problem with it. And the fact that you keep saying you don't makes me think you really just did not care at all. It's so weird. But also they flash back to this scene of are you dating anybody? It's a few times, I wish I hadn't asked. And Katie in that scene is kind of you could have had sex too, which I want to make the argument that I think Schwartz was having sex, too. I don't think Schwartz waited. I don't think that first kiss that he ever had since that divorce was with Raquel in Mexico. Bullshit. And I can prove it. Period. And, Katie's like, you could have done the same. Schwartz like, but it seems tenuous. I don't know, man. Katie's like, you could have had sex with people too. I never said. And Schwartz is like, the friend code, it's a little murky for me. And Katie goes, I don't think you get to have that opinion when you're cheating on me while we're together. And we get a flashback to 2014 in the Sur Alley, the haunted alley, where Schwartz is like, where Katie's like, Scheana said that you were making out with someone. And Schwartz is like, that is not bullshit. And Katie begins to cry. Schwartz is like, okay, point taken, but also, if the roles were reversed, like a Freaky Friday movie, and you divorced me, and at one of the lowest points in your life, and then I started dating and hooking up with people while we were still living under the same roof, and 6 months later, you just made out with, let's just say, Peter in Mexico. They zoom in on Ariana's face, making a face when she says Peter. Everybody thinks Peter's a nice guy, and he probably is. I think he is. But there is something about Peter that gives a lot of these girls cooties, and I want to know what it is, because you always see these girls making faces, and I want to know what it is. Something is up. And I don't mean creepy, but it's it feels like Peter gives them the ick in some sort. And Schwartz is like, do you think I would have had a leg to stand on and be upset with you for that? And Katie's like, darling, you're not a victim in this. I'm telling you, there's a double standard. Finally, somebody's standing up for men. Thank God. 2023, the year of the man. We finally get a year, folks. Schwartz is our leader. And he goes, Sandoval, what do you think of that rule? And Schwartz is like, it was 6 months later, it was a kiss. And I was like, yeah, you think it's perfectly appropriate to fuck one of my closest girlfriends. So I think it's a silly question to ask you. We cut again to Raquel in the trailer, shaking her head and rolling her eyes at Ariana's comment, like, you're crazy, bitch. Sandoval goes, I don't think it's appropriate. We cut again to Raquel, intensely watching every word that comes out of Sandoval's mouth, looking for her own clues. We're back in the studio, and Ariana goes, well, you did it a lot, so you must have thought it was appropriate. And Sandoval goes, doesn't mean I think it's appropriate. I love the thought of dude, I can't control myself. I'm an animal, dude. I knew it wasn't appropriate when I was sliding my little Tom into that. Okay, sorry. She was like, Schwartz goes, before we move on, Katie, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry for what I did in Mexico, but I don't know. For some reason, that kiss was somehow liberating. I don't know what it was. Tom, dude, shut up, man. That is what, like, you, once again, the reunion doesn't need it, man. Like, you don't need to say this shit. What an idiotic thing. Also, we saw the kiss. It looked not like a great kiss. Like, did anybody think, like, why am I looking around an empty room? Hey, did anybody else think that kiss was great? Huh? It looked just very dry. You know, those dry kisses were like, they just look gross. No offense, Schwartz. You're very sexy. But we cut to Raquel in the trailer smiling like, yeah, you tell him, Schwartz, it was a beautiful kiss. We're back in the studio. Lala goes, but how sick is it that you felt that way and her the whole time was fucking your best friend? We cut again to the trailer girl. Raquel's like, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. Tom's like, it happened one time. And Lala goes, it doesn't matter. And Tom's like, yes, it does. And Lisa goes, it does change your relationship. And Tom's like, I never said that a one-night stand. I know it's a lot different than an ongoing thing. And Lisa goes, it doesn't, like, so Tom's trying to say if it was a one-night stand, like, it's really the logic he's trying to reach for here is interesting of like, a one-night stand is almost acceptable, but the ongoing thing is where it's like brutal. And he's like, it doesn't matter, change the whole relationship. And then your best friend is making out with her. There's something strange about that. Which, isn't that crazy that even Lisa's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You it's like, Tom, I raised you better. Are you kidding me, bro? Come on. Somebody sent me this. I'm trying to find the picture right now. It was like right before I was recording. This girl, Emily, she was talking about Vanderpump Rules Season 2 Secrets Revealed episode. This was a show description, and, they'll do show descriptions, and it says Vanderpump Rules Secret Revealed episode 27, February 25th, 2014. It serves up never-before-seen moments as Andy Cohen visits Lisa Vanderpump and Sir to discuss the most revealing, embarrassing, and hilarious scenes you didn't see this season. Stassi attacks Jax for claiming he's in a relationship with a girl he's never met. Frozen vodka helps Scheana reveal how she really feels about Stassi, Katie, and Kristen. Tom reveals his darkest fantasy about seeing Kristen with another man. Katie shows Schwartz what half of bikini wax looks like, and Lisa accidentally reveals too much about her sex life. Oh, behave! But that thing, this girl pointed out, Tom reveals his darkest fantasy about seeing Kristen with another man. So, this is the perfect time to bring this up. Is this another thing where Sandoval got off? We're adults here, right? We put the kids to bed. What do you think? You think he got his rocks off? Do you think he's like, dude, so fucking hot. Schwartz is such an attractive man. He's like one of my best friends. When he's in the little Tom and Tom sidecar, it's so hot, dude. I want to see you ride Tom like I ride Tom in the Tom mobile, dude. But like, it is weird. It's like he was sitting there in court, like, do it, dude. Yeah, dude. Raquel's awesome. I mean, there's like a swinger element here, right? Of like, me and my weird friend Raquel saw you from across the bar and we like the cut of your jib. Would you like to come home with us tonight? There is this really weird pervy thing about it. And Lala is talking to James and goes, it 1,000% happened more than once in terms of Raquel and Sandoval. And James is like, he just lied to you. And Lala goes, he's a liar though, which is true. Anything Tom says now, we cannot, and that's the sad thing for Tom. And that's what you lose when you lie, is that then you're not believed in these big situations. Lala goes, sorry, Ariana says, the one night stand you planted the seed for in the hot tub at fucking Coachella, you fucking piece of fucking shit. Now, this is another scene that I wish had made the cut because this is dark, you guys. So he's talking about planted the seed for it, which is the concept I was talking about, reverse engineering. So the hot tub at fucking Coachella. So now we finally start talking about the timeline. So it's like, wait, Coachella. And we get a flashback to Scheana in a bucket hat that night when her and Katie came over to support Ariana after the breakup. And Scheana is crying. She's like, Raquel told, she's like, apparently in April, she told this person that at Coachella, after you went to sleep, they were in the hot tub and he made a comment to her that was like, Ariana and I are in an open relationship, right? And he started coming on to her at Coachella, telling her we were in, and Ariana's like, we have never been in an open relationship. That has never been the case. And she was like, I know. And Tom in the scene after they play this flashback is like, what are you talking about? That's bullshit. And James is like, Scheana, speak up. Because Sheena's kind of losing her nerve a little bit. And Sheena's like, Andy, you're going to need to ask Raquel about this because obviously I can't because of the restraining order. And I love this. Like, by the way, this, Bravo, can I ask you, Peacock? You had one job. At this moment, where's the fucking Raquel fan cam? Why can't I see the Raquel fan cam? I would like to see the Raquel fan cam when this is brought up. Why would they not put the fan cam? We know we've cut to Raquel many times when she's been brought up. Why not cut to her now? Well, I have a theory. I propose we did not cut to Raquel because it would have shown that this is true. And they're saving that. Because you would have Raquel like, he did it in the jacuzzi. Did you know some Sandoval was at Coachella in the jacuzzi with these fucking jacuzzis and Raquel and Sandoval? Listen, I would love to someday be rich enough to have a jacuzzi, but at the same time, it seems like a demon object. Just bad things happen in these jacuzzis. Like, my God. Sandoval just as he gets older, like, you want to take a koozie, do a bunch of mushrooms and get in a heated pool and fart in there. But I think this Raquel fan cam, like, why not? We have the fan cam. Why not see what Raquel thinks about this moment? And Ariana goes, well, he's been coaching Raquel, so she's going to say whatever he's been coaching her to say. This, this is just a really interesting moment because I think this is what's going to eventually split open over the next two is this timeline. And this Coachella thing breaks it wide open for me. And like I said, like, we were there at Coachella with them, but we were not staying at their house. So I have like I always say, when I was there, like, I did not see anything. I would be honest with you guys about that. But at the house, this could have totally been true. I didn't, afterwards, And part two, I'll talk about the caller daddy. She reveals this piece of information about Tom fucking Raquel, left Ariana's bed while Ariana fell asleep in the guest room, went and fucked Raquel, and then came back and fell asleep with Ariana before Ariana got up in the morning. It's fucking dark. This guy just did not. This guy was thinking how do you not think that's evil? Like, you can't, like, at that point, you're just not even treating Ariana as a human anymore. You're literally in that same space. It's so weird, right? I keep saying it out loud because I feel like it's going to, like, come to me. Like, I'm going to make sense of it, and I just don't seem to be able to make sense of it. So Sandra was like, dude, I didn't say that, dude. And she was like, why did Raquel repeat that to someone? And Sandra was like, she did not repeat that, dude. And she's like, yes, she did, Sandoval. And Sandra was like, I didn't fucking say that. And Ariana's like, how would you know she didn't repeat it, Sandoval? And Andy's like, well, can I make a point about something really quickly? This is a group of cheaters. James, you slept with Kristen. How dare you, Andy? Guys night. James, he didn't say that. James, you slept with Kristen while she and Sandoval were living together. And James is like, mate, yeah, in my early 20s. He's a 40-year-old man. Once again, that age thing for James. They're like, it's appropriate to tweet. It's appropriate to cheat under the age of 25, Andy. That's a law. It's a U.S. law. I'm a law-abiding citizen, Andrew. Ariana, you cheated with Sandoval while he was with Kristen. Schwartz, you made out with literally everyone while you were married with Katie, and there's laughter, and Schwartz is like, and Schwartz is like, no, I wasn't married. It was before our marriage, which is bullshit. James and Lala, you had sex with each other despite already being in relationships with each other. So no one in this group has clean hands, Andy says, besides Katie and LVP. And LVP looks smug, but I'm sorry. There's part of me that does not believe that LVP has clean hands. Nicolaine, I love the way you decorated. Gets me so hot and bothered. Take me, Nicolaine, take me. And so Andy goes, so I mean, look, you're all prepared to come after Sandoval and Raquel. How is that not hypocritical? That's a great question, right? And Lala goes, come on, son. Let's make something very clear. None of us were fucking our best friend's man. Little Lala's like, yeah, fuck yeah. And Raquel's in the trailer watching. I think at this point, she doesn't even understand what's happening. I wish there was an interpreter there for Raquel. We're back in the studio and Andy goes, so Tom and Katie, where does your relationship stand today? I know you told Tom you don't want to be friends with him. And Katie's like, not really. No. When you're trying to build a friendship with somebody, there's things you just need. Honesty and respect and loyalty and integrity. Those are the things I look for in friends. And I'm going to say it. I know you guys are saying it at home. I'm going to say it too. How dare her? What? Greedy? What? Like honesty, maybe one of those. This girl's looking for honesty, respect, loyalty, and integrity. Fuck you, Katie. What are you talking crazy? Give me a break. That is greed. It's sad to see, really. Sad to see. It reminds me a lot of the pins and batteries moment. It's like, Ariana, if you had stocked those pins and batteries, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. It's like, women, what is your deal? You're cuckoo. And Schwartz is like, so if I don't abide by all your terms, we can't be friends? And Katie goes, it's called standards. I love that. I'm like, if I can't give you honesty, respect, loyalty, integrity, we can't be friends. So crazy. He's doing... Schwartz is like, I'm not an idiot. But then he will say the most, if I can't do those if I can't do those pillars so you're saying sorry. There's always one. You sorry. You're saying about you're saying if I can't respect it's I can't even do it with a straight face. You're saying if I can't respect you, girl. Wait, you're saying if I don't tell you the truth, we can't be friends. Wait a sec. You saying I have to have loyalty and integrity? Too far, Katie. We all see past your bullshit. We all see past your bullshit, Katie. Sorry, Katie goes, this is my Joker origin story. Vanderpump Rules season 10. Katie goes, it's called Standard. Schwartz goes, what about my terms, my feelings? Like, I love that Schwartz's argument is like, what if I feel like I should be able to lie to you? Does that not count? Lala goes, it's called setting a boundary. And if you can't respect the boundary, then you have to deal with the repercussions. And Katie's like, and you're like, fuck you. I don't care about your feelings. James is like, you're a man. She's a woman. Like, that's the least you can do out of respect. And George is like, okay, let's on. And Katie's like, Tom, you're acting like, and George is like, that's sexist. And James is like, that's sexist, bro? No. And Sandoval's like, well, yeah, it is actually. And Lisa's like, James, you're not Mother Teresa. And James is like, I know I'm not. When it comes to my current relationship, my Ally, my beautiful, lovely Ally with the nice smooth neck that I like to grab on and kiss in every scene. And we do little salad kisses. Guys night, I love Ally. And Lisa goes, your current relationship. And James is like, Ally is the boss. And what she says goes. And I respect that. And I want to do that because she said it. And Lisa's like, okay. And James is like, that's what happens when you're not into the person you're with. Okay. So read a book. Read a book. which finally I'm all for literacy, but what book is he necessary? Is like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Or like, what is the book? Like, read, give them Lala. And Schwartz goes, I just want to say, I've been a champion for whoever Katie's dated. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like Satchel, whatever. Like, I'm cheering you, girl. Like, and he's like, okay, oh, let's not go there. Okay, we'll go there later. And Andy goes, Katie, are you still seeing Satchel? And Katie's like, no, I knew he wanted a relationship and more, but I knew that it wasn't going to work out for us. But he has a girlfriend now, and I'm happy for him. He's lovely. And, every now and then we keep in touch. But yeah, and Andy goes, which is very adult, right? She knew there wasn't a relationship. She let him go. And he goes, well, Schwartz, when you recorded the podcast with Scheana, and Schwartz was like, yeah, we learned that your friend Joe, we get Joe. Joe was staying with you. Was that a girlfriend? He's like, no, that was not a girlfriend, Andy, especially at that point. I mean, it did evolve into a situationship or like a friends with benefits thing. How did it evolve? Like Schwartz, like it did evolve. Like from all accounts, this Joe really wants to be in a relationship with Schwartz, and Schwartz like it seems like what it feels like Schwartz makes fun of her to his friends or kind of bags on her, is like she's crazy, but then personally likes her around still. So, but he won't claim her, but she'll always say, like, it's very interesting, but it feels also very non-committal, which is very Schwartz, right? He doesn't get off, he can't pick a side. So this is so up Schwartz's alley. This is what Schwartz gets off on. I don't think he realizes it, but it's like so there. Like at the point, like I'm feeling Joe will eventually fully be dating Schwartz at some point. If like, because I think Schwartz just doesn't know how to say no. And Schwartz is like, we've got clearly defined boundaries. That'd be a first. We were both coming out of long-term relationships, and for a minute there, we were each other's happy place. And Ariana's like, ew. And Katie goes, Joe's a creep. Katie goes, basically, Joe's a creep. And Schwartz like, no, she's not, Katie. Don't do that. Don't disparage her. And Katie's like, no one likes Joe. No one. You're going to get a cease and desist if you keep attacking her in the comments, though. Oh, really? We're going to do a TRO? What are we going to get? A cease and desist? Can you do cease and desist on Instagram comments? I mean, can you? No, I'm literally asking. Mark Zuckerberg, are you here? I want to know. Can you, please? I need to know now. But this is fascinating because once again, he's standing up for somebody that's not Katie. This is his whole fucking thing. It's like if Katie's, Katie's not for it, he's definitely going to be for it. Like, it's so weird. Like, dude, even in these moments, they show us a post that Katie made, and it's Music Kills Katie. Her Instagram is like, Joe is spooky. I mean, none of us could stand to be around her. Her energy is on par with a crackhead. She's a psycho, and I will also light her on fire. I will light her on fire with Raquel. I hope to talk to Katie one day, and I'm going to literally ask her about her affinity for fire and lighting people on fire, and ask her how many people she has lit on fire, actually. But I love this, and also the crackhead comment is very Chriselle from Selling Sunset. And Katie goes, I can say whatever I want. Schwartz is like, and you troll, like, eh. And James is like, that's mean. That's mean. And Schwartz is like, she's a comment troll. That's so fucking rude and mean. And Schwartz is like, James, shut the fuck up. And he's like, let me ask you a question. Was she in your friend group? And Katie's like, by proxy, because she was best friends with Doute. Every single day they hung out. She blocked Kristen's number the day she moved in with him. And Lisa rolls her eyes. Lisa, what are you rolling your eyes about? But she blocked Kristen's number. That's so dark. And Annie's like, did you go on double dates with Joe and Sandoval? And Schwartz is like, no. And Katie's like, you did. And Lala goes, yeah, you went to Big Bear. You totally went to Big Bear. And they show pics of the four of them in Big Bear. I remember a fan bumped into them and even says, like, Sandoval was trying to hide, taking some quick pics. And Katie's like, and remember, the cast of Vanderpump Rules, I hear very much is on Reddit. I'm telling you, I know that for a fact. I'm not on Reddit, but I know they do deeply dig on Reddit. So whatever you want, put there, they'll read it. And Katie's like, the four of you went to Big Bear together. And Schwartz like, listen, it's not a double date. Tom, I like that. There's like, Sandoval, protect me from Big Bad Katie. And Ari's like, what was it? Like a fuck fest? And Schwartz like, no, tell him, Tom, I was going snowboarding with Tom Sandoval. And Ari was like, why wasn't I invited? There was girls invited. No, I don't know. And he was like, when was it? And Schwartz to Sandoval was like, when was it, Tom? And she was like, January. And James was like, Raquel hates snowboarding, literally hates snowboarding. We cut again to the trailer, and Raquel rolls her eyes and seems bummed at being cut, which I would have loved if it said snowboarding. We cut to Raquel. She's like, oh, I hate it. It's scary. Oh, it's scary. But I love that James is like, How dare her? She always told me she hated slaloming on a snowboard. Schwartz goes, Raquel didn't go snowboarding. And James like, she came to suck Tom's dick, dude. And Lala goes, she only came to suck Sandoval's dick. 40-year-old cocky cock. And Katie's like, be honest. You're not being honest. And she's like, wow. And Sandoval's like, he is being honest. And Ariana's like, boo. And James is like, boo, boo. And Lala goes, shame. And Katie's like, shame, for shame, for shame. And Trailer Girl gives a huge groan, like, ugh. We see Ariana do a commercial for Bic Lady Shavers. And I got to tell you, as a lady myself, there is nothing that shaves my pussy better than a Bic Lady razor shave. No, I don't know. It's really actually cute and funny. I'm glad Ariana is racking in that dough. Get the F out. Buy your own house, man. It is great when something this painful happens. And I know, like, listen, I know we're all been in breakups. We don't get fucking product placement deals, but that's the nature of the game. That's what happens when the world knows your shame, right? We're back at the Vanderpump Rules reunion. And he's like, Tom and Tom, you guys disgust me. She goes, no. He goes, after last season, seeing you secure the space for Schwartz and Sandy's, I think we all thought that this year we would actually see the restaurant open. When you threw your first party, how far away from opening did you think you were at that time? And Schwartz is like, optimistically, Andy, we thought after that we could be open by the end of August. And Sandra's like, yeah. And that was naive. And he goes, when did you end up opening? And he's like, we ended up opening November 2nd. That is quite a distance of like August and then November. So when I was checking the calendar earlier, I found out that September and October are the 2 months after August. So it took 2 more months to open. I just remember that scene with Sandra was like, woo, we're fucking opening end of August, dude. That's it. And Lisa's like, I'm turned on, amazing. And he goes, it seemed like the food was holding you back the entire time. Staffing the kitchen, you lost your chef, you weren't getting the menu approved. And Sandra was like, we went through 3 chefs, dude. By the way, I didn't hate the food at Schwartz and Sandy's, but I can't imagine that went through 3 chefs. And he goes, to me, why not open the bar and serve minimal food and just say we're going to have snacks at the beginning and we're going to grow into some more food. And Sandra's like, I would have loved to have done that, dude. And Lisa goes, Greg didn't want that. And Sandra's like, the thing is, that was the original idea, kind of like a cozy dive bar. And Andy goes, so how is the food going? And Schwartz's like, it's going great, man. They flash picture the food. It looks fancy. And Schwartz's like, yeah, we're getting really good feedback on our food. The cheating, we're not getting great feedback on yet. I mean, we hope to grow into the cheating. No, he goes, it's delicious. And Lala goes, the food's really good. And Schwartz goes, thanks, Lala. It's so funny because it's all this tension. And then Lala goes, the food's really good. He's like, oh, thanks, girl. And Andy goes, Lisa, how long would it have taken you and Ken to flip that space from a Mexican restaurant to what it is now? And Lisa's like, that's not really fair because I would have turned it around design-wise in 3 months. And Andy's like, yeah, it's what you do all the time. Exactly, Andrew. Our 37th place we've opened. But, there were so many different variables and so many things gone wrong. And they didn't really know what they were doing. But, why should they know what they're doing? They hadn't done it before. I didn't like it when Tom said, I don't need Lisa Vanderpump. You know what? And they showed that clip. Like, I'm looking forward to doing this all ourselves. And Lisa's like, I've done everything, even giving you 5% of TomTom for a chance, a start. I love Lisa. I'm a champion of young businesses. And Andy's like, 5% of TomTom. And Lisa's like, no, but TomTom costs $5 million. Jesus Christ. Nigga Lane is very expensive. Do you see the clock? The clock alone costs $2.5 million. Now she goes, they put 50 grand in each, and I gave them that money back the week they opened because they needed money. I said, okay, there's your investment back. And he's like, you wound up taking the money? And Troy's like, we took 50K. And he's like, 50K each. Which is wild. So that scene where they're like, no, we don't want our money back, they ended up having to do that. And I do wonder about things like, Tom's band, Tom buying gifts for Raquel, Big Bear trips. Those are thousands of dollars, but they had to take their money back. And I wonder if Lisa is giving them the ability to put that money back in because at this point, TomTom is the wiser investment. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, the money with the mom. And he goes, do you think it would have opened sooner if Sandoval was focused more on the business? And George's like, as much as I'd like to scapegoat Sandoval right now, I'm not going to do that because it wasn't him. It was so many different things. The constant mutations and adjustments we made to the design, that really killed us. So that's both of your guys' fault. You doing mushrooms all the time. These mushrooms, these life-saving mushrooms. I want to be up at sunrise doing mushrooms, just living. This is what the mushrooms does. They couldn't decide on design changes. And he's like, okay, Sandoval, have you been able to pay your mom back her retirement fund yet? He's like, no. And Lisa's like, no. And Tom's like, she's okay though. Like, she wouldn't give me that if it was, do or die, dude. And then he's like, are you worried that, your business has taken a hit recently that you're maybe not going to be able to pay her back? Yeah, I'll pay her back, dude, at some point for sure. The band, there's money in the band. There's always money in the banana stand, Andy. And he's like, eventually for sure, no matter what, whether it's from this business or the low-income housing I'm a part of, and Andy goes, your business is taking a hit since the affair. And Schwartz, Schwartz is, talking about, Lisa's like, I know this is a shit show, but I've always been on their side. And Schwartz is like, you have, Lisa. It's not an easy place to be. And then he's like, your business is taking a hit. And Schwartz is like, yeah, revenue is down there. And yeah, like there was like this boycott Schwartz and Sandy's thing. And they flashed these negative Yelp reviews. If you remember last week, Yelp, one of the people reached out to me and gave me hard data about the Yelp reviews that they put, you can't leave a bad review right now on Schwartz and Sandy's. There's an unusual activity alert, which I was kind of, a lot of people had opinions on this post I put on Instagram and when I said on the pod, but I thought it was kind of comforting that it's like, okay, we see something bad's going on. We're not going to let people contribute to that because listen, let's base it on the actual bar. I think there's something fair in that. The manager of Schwartz and Sandy's, Brett used to follow me, but unfollowed me because I'm sure he doesn't like that I'm making fun of Sandoval. Who knows? But he unfollowed me, and I saw he DM'd me the other day of like, who is your spokesperson at Yelp? And I'm like, I don't need to give that to you. I just didn't answer it. But I'm like, no, you can talk to Yelp. You have their contact information. I thought if anything, it should show how much attention this place is getting. I thought it was positive overall. It showed the search results for TomTom and Schwartz and Sandy's fucking skyrocketed. Hopefully that can result in some dollar signs. But once again, if you're going to try to blame things like Yelp, you're blaming the wrong people. Once again, you blame Mr. Sandoval. That's what the fuck happened right there. Like, I just love it. And once again, you're like, I just love the thought of like, who wrote that Yelp thing? Well, somebody at Yelp. You don't need to blame them. Blame Tom Sandoval. None of this would be happening. It's very interesting how we always just want to point fingers in the direction that it actually doesn't really matter. Schwartz is like, it had some momentum, but I was in Schwartz and Sandy's last night. And it was like a really loving environment. People having a good time, drinking, eating. I love it. It was a love fest in there. Like, Andy, have you ever heard of Woodstock? It was a lot like Woodstock. It was like peace, love, and understanding. Ariana is completely annoyed by what he's saying, crossing her eyes. And Ariana's like, they can go there. They just better not fucking try to talk to me ever again. And Lala's like, people are writing Team Ariana on the tip line instead of tipping. That's fucked up. Always tip your servers. Over 20% too, you guys. Like, honestly, that is one of the things. I don't mess around with that. George is like, that happened once. And there was some like graffiti in the bathroom. And then he's like, what did the graffiti in the bathroom say? And George is like, it said #Team Ariana. And Katie's like, and on the other mirror, it said, fuck Tom. And Schwartz is like, that Tom to Sandoval. And Ariana's like, of course. Now I have a nice little surprise for you guys. I reached out to the girl who, I don't know what, sorry. I have like fucking 80 texts from this one text thread. And it's like, guys, okay. So I reached out to the girl who did the #Team Ariana. I know this person very little. Her Instagram name is Potato Bun. Sorry, her Twitter name is Potato Bun. Her Instagram handle is Arrow1Smoothie. And I've been following her for a while, and I saw that her and a couple of other girls were the ones that did that and took pictures in there. And she posted it on Twitter and stuff. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, could I get a quote? Could I get a quote from you about you writing #Team Ariana, a statement, if I would? And she's like, yeah. She goes, and she's super funny. She goes, you can say that it was silly and in good fun, and it was written on the bathroom mirror in lipstick, which wipes off easily. And Tom Schwartz needs to seek treatment for calling it graffiti and vandalism. He mentioned it on Watch What Happens Live too. Get over it, Tom. Also, you can say I would love to be banned from Schwartz and Sandy's. I'd wear it as a badge of honor. So their move. So she was very clear to say it was easy to wash off, you guys. Very easy. So it did not create any permanent damage. And that was like the first week all of this shit went down. But like we said, the people showing up with, to Tom Sandoval and the most extras, like, you do these kind of egregiously wrong things, you're going to have some things that like bounce back off you. But the Schwartz and Sandy's thing, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not in this place where I don't think I could ever go to that place again, but do whatever you want, man. Like, listen, if none of this had happened, I would have gone back there a bunch of more times. Like, I just don't feel like that's what happens in this stuff. Like, listen, I don't go to Epstein's Island anymore. Like, once I found out, you know what I'm saying? Like, once something bad happens, the audience does seem to get turned off to that thing. I would imagine I don't have a bit. I mean, this is kind of a business. I say things that turn people off all the time, and people don't listen then. Like, things happen. It's like reactions. So Andy's like, has this affected your relationship with your partner, Greg? And Tom's like, well, Greg and I have always had a bit of a strained relationship. I had some resentment with him because he'll come right in as we're about to do something, and he'll pull the e-brake and be like, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's like literally cost us months and months of rent. And Andy goes, Schwartz, after everything you've been through now, I'm going to ask the same thing Katie did. Was it worth it? And Schwartz is like, oh, that's such a loaded question. How do you fucking answer that question? And Lisa goes, because you get off the fence with just up your ass and make a decision and say something that has some weight behind it. That's what you do, dear boy. Finally, even Lisa's like, fuck, I've been trying to defend you guys all day. And now I even have to say, come on, Tom. And Schwartz is like, well, I'll say, yeah, it did contribute to the downfall of our marriage, but I'm not scapegoating. It did put pressure on our marriage, and it's all consuming, and I regret nothing. I don't know. He's just babbling. And Lisa's like, yes, but hold on a second. I've been married 40 years and opened 37 We get it, Lisa. You've opened a bunch of places and hasn't broken us up. And that's what people will do. I'm not saying we're perfect. When you start a business, if your relationship is where it should be, you should be supportive of each other. It shouldn't break the relationship. And Schwartz, goes, well, she wasn't supportive, to be honest. And Katie's like, yeah, I was. Okay, yeah, you were. But I think right at the beginning, like I try, sorry. Katie's like, okay, at the beginning, I tried to be supportive until the point you were putting us against each other, me and Sandoval. You were pitting us against each other, but you're acting like, what you're doing with opening this bar is like curing cancer or brain surgery, putting people on the moon, which is hysterical. Like, it really is. They're like talking about it like it is. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it really was this so hard, like, Schwartz says he's putting everything into it. He lost the relationship, potentially part of it for this. And Sandoval's out there fucking starting new relationships. That's how easy this bar was for Sandoval. And Schwartz is like, just Katie, and Katie's like, it's opening a bar, dude. And Schwartz goes, it's not as easy as you think. You're being glib. It is. I mean, it is easy. The sandwich shop seems to be a lot easier. Katie goes, you're into being like, Katie goes, you're not, so I don't know what the fuck. This was one of the added scenes, so I scribbled it. Katie goes, you didn't prioritize. Just call it what it is. And Schwartz is like, I couldn't by necessity. Katie goes, oh God, I'm tired. And Sandoval goes, oh yeah, sorry. Andy goes, Sandoval, was it worth it? Was it worth it, Sandoval? And Sandoval dead seriously goes, the challenge is worth it. Yeah, the challenge. I think he's obviously talking about MTV's The Challenge, Road Rules Real World Challenge. It's always worth it on there. Johnny Bananas. Wow, that guy. I love, but it's just like, he's talking about breaking up with Ariana. Like, that was his Everest. But he's like, the bar is a challenge. It was worth it, Andy. Every time. Schwartz and Sandy's. And he goes, Ariana, you said during the season that you will cut off anyone that maintains a relationship with Sandoval. Will you stop speaking to Lisa if she stays in business with the Toms? And I was like, well, we just won't be as close. And, oh, hold on a second. What do you expect me to do? Do you expect me to? I don't expect anything of anyone, Lisa. I've been close to you and in support. You know I love you very much. Of course. He only has 5%. I will have a hard time confiding. And Andy goes, do you think she should pull out of her business in TomTom? And Lisa goes, I should buy him out of the business? Well, you kind of did seem like you said you gave back $50,000 of the money. And Ariana goes, no, I think she knows what's best for her. And Andy's like, oh, shit. And Lisa's like, well, what's that? And Ariana goes, no, I mean, I'm not going to be someone who gives Lisa business advice. You know, like it came off like a little, but it was like, no, I'm just not going to tell her what to do with her business. And Lisa's like, no, but if it comes at a cost of friendships and loyalties, I mean, where do you stand on that? I want to know. Lisa wants to know because Lisa's trying to like hang out with everybody, but she also wants like everybody's team Ariana and she wants to be on team Ariana too. Ariana's like, we'll always love and support anything that you do. That will just not be the kind of place that I'll, you know, and he's like, one of your stops. And Ariana's like, yeah, TomTom. And James is like, the drinks are going to be free at Sir as well. Yeah, Ariana, I'll go to Sir. And Lisa goes, if Tom remains our partner, I don't want that to affect our relationship. You know Tom's going to remain their partner. They need an entrance point into season 11. So that is definitely going to be happening. You can already hear it. Sandoval like, dude, Greg made me take a step back of Schwartz and Katie, then I pretty much tanked that place. So back to TomTom, which is kind of fucking fake as well, because now we realize Lisa didn't really train any of those yokels on anything on opening the bar. So why the fuck would he be back at TomTom in any sense? Because it doesn't seem like he really worked there. It seemed like he was a figurehead. His name was on the thing, and that was it. Which always disappointed me because I really bought into that. And I was like, dude, they were like really running that place. And it was like, no, they just like were figureheads or mascots, which is cool. Like they were so nice and taking pictures with people and stuff. So Andy goes, Schwartz and Sandy's wasn't the only restaurant making progress this season. Katie and Ariana, you plan on making your bread and butter. Very clever, Andy, with an upcoming sandwich shop called Something About Her. Have you opened yet? And Katie's like, no. And Ariana's like, we have not opened yet. So it's just March right now. When are you going to be open? And Ariana's like, I think by the end of May. And I was telling you guys about the calendar thing I was looking into earlier. Great thing. Highly recommend. The end of May is like right now. So we'll find out. Hopefully tomorrow I'll find out for you guys when that's all going to come on out. And Katie's like May and Lisa's like, I like that. And Andy goes, after the affair broke, you guys started selling merch, right? And Katie's like, yeah. And Andy goes, you made how much money? Can you say? And Katie's like, it's about $200,000. You guys, 200,000. Way to go, man. Like we did that for them. We really, I mean, truly helped out in this situation. That's pretty cool. And he's like, wow. And Lisa's like, well, that can open it. Lisa's like, give me some money, please, or I'll burn it down. And Katie's like, it's really incredible that so many supportive people showed up to like help us. And there's this great shot of Tom and Schwartz like, oh, dude, we fucked up, dude. Like, it is so funny. I'm like, oh, man, we could have been on that t-shirt money, man. Ariana goes, we were always going to do merch in the shop, and we thought that would be something we could do down the road. But then people were saying, like, how can we support? And so we launched it in early, and I have some for you here, Andy, and maybe you want to replace it with that trash sweater you were wearing on Watch What Happens Live. And they flash back to 3 weeks earlier on Watch What Happens Live with Scheana and Raquel. Sorry, they flash back to way earlier the season with Scheana and Raquel, where, Raquel's like, Andy, here's my TomTom sweatshirt. It's the exact sweatshirt I wore on day 3 of BravoCon. I mean, let's test this like the blue dress. You know what I'm saying? Andy says it's like a triple XL. And Andy goes, that sweatshirt, it's a beautiful hoodie. And Ariana's like, it's not TomTom's, it's his merch. And he fought for that design, and TomTom can't sell it. Talking about Sandoval. Which, by the way, I know the guy that designed that. He's like a really good designer, very interesting guy. And he's like, but I do want your merch. And James is like, I'd wear your shirt. And Ariana's like, thanks, James. Yes, I'd make it fashionable. I like when he leans back and he pulls his little suit jacket down. He's like, I'd make it fashionable. And Andy goes, I want to switch gears and talk about something we saw last season. Scheana, last year, Lala was really hard on Brock, and your relationship with Lala was not in a good place. This year, we saw you two becoming close friends again. How did that happen? And Scheana's like, I think the kids definitely brought us closer together. I think we both understood what we needed out of a friendship. And I mean, we're closer than we've ever been. She literally brought the house next door to me in Palm Springs. And Lisa's like, you did? How do you not know this? They show Scheana's vlog of like, yay, you're moving in. And Andy's like, Katie, has Lala's friendship with Scheana been an issue at all between you two? And Katie's like, well, things, and George's like, you told me, Katie, felt you weren't getting the same level of loyalty from Lala as you were giving to her. And Katie's like, well, it felt like if the roles were reversed, if you were in my position, you probably would not have been happy with me, but I didn't make it an issue. And Scheana's like, but she always had your back. And Lala goes, listen, I went to Scheana's wedding and I also aborted mission on a lot of things after that kiss happened with Schwartz and Raquel. And Scheana, our kids are really the reason why we created this friendship and decided that it could go further. And Katie's like, I understand that. And Lala to Scheana is like, we're dating. And they both laugh. And Katie's like, no, what I'm saying that in the past, when you've had issues with Scheana, you're like, if anyone talks to her, they're fucking dead to me. Like if you had the same issues I had with Scheana, it would have been a very different story, which is very true. And then he goes, do you regret not having her be a bridesmaid? And Sheena's like, yeah. And Lala's like, I'm glad you didn't. I hate that shit. I'm totally fine with that. And Sheena's like, at the time, I didn't feel close to her. But then if I got married this summer, I would have her back. And he goes, Lala, how do you go from comparing Brock to Randall? And we see a flashback of Lala going in for, how dare you compare this guy that left his kids, blah, 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 to a stand-up guy like Randall. And Lala goes, well, obviously, it's a very humbling moment. And little Lala's like, yeah, totally humble. It happened in my a total, very humbling moment happened in my life. And I was, judging this relationship as an outsider who wasn't, which by the way, can also be like us, right? We're outsiders in a sense. We're just judging what we see and what we read. Judging this relationship as an outsider. I wasn't hanging out with him. I just felt the more we spent time together, I watched him with my friend, watched him with Summer Moon and Ocean. And he's really incredible. I'm sure somewhere, why don't we have a Brock cam? I'm like, Lala, I love you, Lala. Thank you so much. And Andy goes, Katie, we've seen your relationship from Scheana go from frenemies to straight up enemies. Is that a result of Schwartz doing her podcast? Finally, podcasting getting the attention that it deserves. Katie, when Katie's on here, I want to hopefully try to get Katie in a interview situation where we can create moments for Vanderpump Rules season 11. And Katie goes, it was part of it. I felt like I was catching a whiff of Scheana siding with Tom when we didn't want anyone to side or have teams. We wanted everyone to stay peaceful and amicable. And I get that. You're like, we don't want this to be a thing. We want to be all able to all hang out. And Scheana was, come to my podcast. And they're like, what are you thinking about, Raquel? And it was kind of pushing those buttons, right? It was poking the beast. And Sheena's like, Schwartz is like, well, by doing her pod, I don't understand. Yeah, you do. And he goes, Scheana, do you feel differently about encouraging Raquel to hook up with Schwartz now that the affair has come out? And Sheena's like, 1,000,000%. Watching back, Katie's perspective, getting such a different story from Raquel. I wish I had more empathy for her in that moment. We have a shot of Raquel and Scheana, crying in a scene. By the way, Scheana at this point goes, I totally would have done it 1,000,000%. See, Andy, I can't make a fist with these nails. It's scientifically impossible, Andy. See? And Katie goes, Scheana, I told you though. And Scheana goes, the whole summer, everything that I heard from Raquel of how you were treating her, Katie, took over for everything else. And I just saw red after that. James like, so you were blinded by everything with Raquel. You and Raquel were so fucking tight. You couldn't even see Katie's feelings is what you're saying. James actually trying to help Scheana. And Sheena's like 100%. And Sandoval was like, you do not believe what Raquel was saying? And Sheena's like, well, watching it back, Sandoval, no, I feel very differently watching it back. Yeah, there's an argument to be made that, yeah, it's, Lala, like I said, kind of seemed like she bullied Raquel a little bit, And there was truth to that, but Lala saying, I got this feeling, blah, blah, blah. She turned out to be really right. Like I always say, it's not a sliding doors moment. Like it's like, we'll never know. Like we'll never know what it's like without Sandoval, if this season had ever happened. But I imagine this would be a very different reunion with Lala. But Scheana is now saying, listen, watching it back, I totally, I don't agree with it. The girl in the trailer does not like hearing this very much. And she has a disgusted look on her face. Like, what? Andy goes, how do you feel hearing Scheana say that now? And Katie's like, well, it was just frustrating because even my closest friends don't know when I'm struggling. I find it hard to be vulnerable because you're not going to know. It was frustrating, when I get it now. And Andy's like, well, where do you and Scheana stand today? And she goes, well, since everything happened, we, with everything with Sandoval, we put everything aside. She apologized. And Andy's like, do you feel a path forward? And she's like, yeah, Scheana and I have had such a rough go, but I want to see her behavior change and not just apologize. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And I feel like I've seen this cyclical behavior before, being trusting of the right people and not throwing just your loyalty to the wind. Which I will say this, I saw the watch party Scheana, somebody threw for one of her friends, and it was like fucking Gretchen Rossi was there. And I'm like, Scheana, just be careful who you allow into your life. Like, this sounds crazy, but I truly care about Scheana. I know that sounds weird, but like, it just seems like sometimes people, I don't know. I just feel like people get around her that might not have the best intentions. And Sheena's like, yeah, it's going to be fun. And like, I just like Gretchen, really? Gretchen? Like Scheana, come on, girl. Like, were you a big fan of, like, you say you're a big fan of Housewives? Gretchen? The one with one nostril? She always like face tunes her nostrils out. Come on. Really? And Sheena's like, this has been a very humbling experience. I feel that. I do. Also, I want to talk about Katie is like, she says that thing about even her closest friends sometimes doesn't know when she's struggling. She finds it hard to be vulnerable. Like, remember, just because maybe you or I don't have trouble being vulnerable, that doesn't, like, there's so many different types of people in the world. And I think when sometimes people are not like us, we're scared of that. We rally against it. And remember that people feel things in much different ways, and people are prideful in much different ways than we are. So I can totally understand Katie saying that. And Ariana goes, she's a liar. She lied to us so bad in regards to Raquel. And she was like, Katie was not nearly the person she explained to me. I let what Raquel told me be Bible, and it took me back to a place where I had been bullied by Katie, by Lala in this group. And we get two flashbacks of Katie's like, Scheana, I can read you like a fucking book. You're like the most like transparent person I've ever talked to in my life. And Sheena's like, then why are you friends with me? And then in 2017, where Lala is yelling at Scheana, and, it is interesting. You see these two different sides, and you can kind of understand both sides. And there's clips to back both up, but it is interesting. All of these feelings out there. And Scheana goes, and it was just kind of like, I need to protect Raquel at all costs. And Lala's, can I say something? The word bully, hey, we ain't teaching pre-K here. This is fucking Bravo. Little Lala's like, fucking Bravo, bitch. And Andy's like, yeah. And Lala goes, all right, we all sign up for it. Ain't nobody bullying anybody. And Sandoval's like, bullying isn't an age thing. You are a bully. And I'm like, please fuck off, Mr. Fuck I fuck my friends behind my Sandoval's like, is this another get out of jail free card, Lala? No, it's called I don't give a fuck what you have to say, Sandoval, because I think you're a piece of shit. And I think you should shut the fuck up. And Sandoval's like, you don't think you're shitty at all, Lala? And James like, it just means a turd is talking. And Lala goes, I think you've always triggered me. And so has she. Now we fucking know why. And Sandoval's like, that's a scapegoat excuse to not show up to Sheena's event. And Lala goes, and now we know why. I always knew it. And Katie to Sandoval goes, what are you talking about? And Lala goes, they're both pieces of shit, and I always knew it. And Sandoval's like, you used Raquel as a scapegoat to not show up. And Lala goes, I'm looking at Raquel, and I fucking sniffed you a mile away. The second you stepped in here, I knew you were capable of this shit. You moved like a snake. Raquel's having a hard time, hearing all of this, like, she heaves a big breath. And Sandoval's like, takes one to know one, I guess. Good one, Sandoval. Sandoval's next. He's like, you've had the same hairstyle for like a year now, dude. Yeah, okay. Lala goes, I may say a lot of crazy fucking shit, all right? I may hurt your feelings, but your mama told you sticks and stones, baby. Sticks and stones. I ain't fucking your man, at least. And Sandoval goes, you have. And Lala goes, who? Who, Sandoval? And Lisa's like, no, this has nothing to do with Tom. You said you've I don't know. Lisa's just like babbling. And Lala is pointing her finger at him. He's like, you have the balls to say get accountability, Katie? Lala, you got to share your life. And Sandoval goes, I know that. I am taking accountability. You are not. Because he's talking about like when in time Sandoval's like, Katie, take accountability. Lala, share your life. Like Sandoval's always coaching these people. And Lala goes, for what? What did I do? And Sandoval's like, I fart Mozart, everybody. What does that mean? I love it. This dude cannot communicate without Ariana. I fart Mozart, everybody. Like, what does that even mean? I fart Mozart. Like, and also then I was trying to take it seriously. Like, what if, just go with me here. What if Sandoval does fart Mozart? Like, no, sorry. What if Lala does fart Mozart? What if Lala in the past has farted Mozart? And it's like, it's me, Mozart. I just got farted out by Lala. I'm Amadeus Mozart, and I'm deaf. Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. Rock me, Amadeus. I fart Mozart, everybody. Tom does not speak in t-shirt slogans. DJ James Kennedy, you're a worm with a mustache, poo-poo heads. But Sandoval's going to sell a t-shirt line that says, I fart Mozart, everybody. Now that I say that, I will probably get one if he does, but I might be the only one. And Lisa's like, Lala, sometimes you've been pretty aggressive. And Sandoval's like, exactly. And Lala to Lisa goes, you got to stop. And James is like, you're sticking up for Tom too much. And Lisa's like, I'm not sticking up for Tom. And Sandoval's like, she's being reasonable, dude. And Lala goes, you got to stop. And Lisa's like, I've got to stop. I'm talking to you. And James is like, reasonable? No, that ain't. And James suddenly jumps up from his chair and walks upset. And Annie's like, James, sit down. And he's like, I'm not going to listen to this shit. Raquel, in her porta potty trailer, rolls her eyes and goes, oh my God, Calgon, take me away. Andy, next week, it's part 2 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion. And we see clips, and James is like, her mom would talk about my penis size. And Lisa's face recoils in disgust and confusion. And Allie, right next to him, goes, I didn't like that at all. What does that mean? Does that mean Raquel's mom would talk about James's penis size? Like, Raquel tells me you got a pretty big hog over there, buddy. Like, what is that? Or does that mean Allie's mom? Like, what does that mean? Like, what? Her mom would talk about my penis size. Schwartz, as the scene goes, she has a long history of diminishing my friendships. And Katie's like, well, you're friends with everyone. You're like a serial killer's wet dream. And Ariana's like, another scene goes, she lied about you. And Sandoval's like, I just talked to her. And Ariana's like, I just talked to her. So you coach her when the truth comes out? And Sandoval's like, I'm not coaching anybody. And then another scene with Lala goes like, this is like, it's really taking its toll on her in regards to Scheana crying. And Andy goes, you said you trusted your husband in bed with her? And Scheana's like, I did, which is so funny and weird. And she's like, I would do it. I do. People need beds. Sandoval to trailer girl, Raquel goes, Ariana's going to unleash on you, dude. And Raquel, like, it may not have to be pathological liars, and we're not. Trailer girl walks to the stage, and Andy to Raquel at the one-on-one goes, how did you envision this was going to play out with Ariana? Did you think there was a path forward for the two of you? Oh, I cannot wait to hear that answer. Andy goes, hi, Raquel. And Raquel goes, hi, Andy. That's it, folks. Oh, my God. What a journey. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Not as long as last week, right? It was crazy when we went 3:30. But we've now whittled it down to 3:15. It is a tight 3:15. But I'm telling you, folks, I don't know what I could have taken out. Yeah, I could have. Anyways, I love you guys. Part 2 is going to have a lot of Vanderpump news. Please stick around for that. I know you'll get to that at some point, but it's here for you whenever you want to listen. And you guys, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you. If you enjoy this and you get something out of it, I really thank you for just allowing me to do this. There's a lot of exciting things coming up. I know sometimes I even get depressed. I get in depressive states and I don't even realize how good this is. And then I get to do this and I'm like, this is so, so great. And thank you. And my mom thanks you for giving me something to do. And that's it, you guys. Part 2, I'm going to take a little break. I love this. I'm going to take a little break. Make sure you tip your waiters, and I'll see you over there on part 2. We got a lot of fun surprises over there. We got a lot of fun surprises this week in general coming up. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I didn't even say that 3 hours ago. If you like this podcast and all the hard work and energy that goes into it, please leave it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That really, really does help. If not my podcast, do it for the podcast that you do listen to and enjoy. And if you're on YouTube, please tell your friends about us. We're still starting things up on this old YouTube. We are slow. We're just slowly chugging along with the little engine that could. And remember, it is the weekend, so go have fun. Don't be a Tom Sandoval. Be an Ariana. Go eat something you like, drink something great, dance a little bit, hang out by yourself, hang out with your family, take a walk, do some exercise, or don't. Read something, watch something, a scripted television show, not reality. And we'll see you bright and early on Monday. Unless you're on the Patreon, patreon.com/SoBadIt'sGood. I got to finish up a Q&A episode this weekend, and there's something else coming. And that's it, you guys. Part 2 is coming. Bye.